Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Chaos Child. I don't know why you're here, but if you are, that must mean you liked the first part of this. Now we're still in our school, and we're still trying to figure out what's going on. We've learned the controls, unusual though they may be. And hopefully I remember most of them. Oh, let's have a look. Alright. Welcome back. Oh, is this the wrestlers talking?
可愛くないとか言うな。てか別にウェイトレスって女子限定じゃなくてもいいじゃん。男子もやんなよ。
Don't say that. It's not cute. Wait, it's not fair. Oh, girls are waitresses. Boys should be waitresses too. I mean, boys aren't waitresses; they're waiters, but close. Actually, it would be funnier if they were wearing dresses. That would be funnier if they had to wear dresses. Let's be real. I mean, you're putting on like a small cafe for like a school festival or something. That'd be pretty funny, at least, to do once as a joke. You show up, all the women in tuxedos, all the men in dresses. It'd be funny, right? If you're okay with some self-deprecating humor or humor at your own expense. Gero Froggy really talk like that? I don't know. Ito had just finished recording the goings-on in the classroom. Ah, this is our, news fiend friend. It's this way, it's this one. How do I... It doesn't matter? Hold up. Did I not do that right? Illusion triggers Z. I tried Z. Can I scroll up and make another decision? Alright, I tried to make a decision and he went with the neutral one and I'm kind of annoyed at that. Here, let's see. What was load? That's quick load. F5 is load. Let's try this. Right, backspace. F5? That didn't actually wreck anything. Imagine mapping all your game's keys to function keys. God, that's annoying. Alright. Load this. We're gonna load this. We're not learning anything new here. We're trying to pick positive. Okay. Don't say that. Not cute. This is the waitress and waitress talk. Did he talk like this? I wonder if we can rematch these key bindings. These are kind of annoying. I want to go left. I'm trying to go left. I'm holding Z. Doesn't matter. Maybe you can't pick. You can't pick. Right-sider. This is dialogue related. Help? I have no clue. That's really weird. Okay. And we can't, like, remap any of this. We can't, like, remap any of this. It's kind of, like, all stuck. Alright. Whatever. Alright. I guess it doesn't let us pick? Maybe? Alright, guess it doesn't matter. This was class 3-1, Ito and my class. Most of the class was busy with Garo Froggy Cafe we were doing for the festival. Okay, so the whole class is doing a festival. What are you guys doing then? Some people were ignoring the fuss and studying. Some of the otaku were reading light novels. Did they really think that if they left the paper cover from the bookstore on it, we wouldn't tell it was a light novel? No, probably not. That's not a great way to disguise it. They were just trying their best to stay out of the way. Most people were happily making Garo Froggy decorations or putting on Garo Froggy costumes and messing around. All the clubs had to participate in the festival, but so did all the classes. No one told me, but evidently several months ago we decided to do a Garo Froggy themed cafe. You fool. Garo Froggy has a girl's voice.
いや、そうだけどさ、そこは文化祭のノリ的なあれでいいじゃん、別に。
Well, sure, it's just a culture festival. We're allowed to change it.
違うってな。
That's wrong. It's so wrong. How dare they have this frog not speak with a real voice actor's name?
Huh?
A frog onesie? Frog onesies can be cute. Do you already have a panda onesie? I'm just thinking of what's his face? What's it? Bunny Girl Senpai's Kaid. Bunny Girl Senpai, the main character's sister Kaid, has a panda onesie. That looked pretty cute. Ito tilted his head back in confusion. Alright. And he decided to get back on topic. So no more Frog Cafe. I took out my Pokecom and showed it to Ito. Man, I was like 1 second away from reading that as Pokemon. I was like, he took out his Pokemon and showed it to Ito? Damn, they're like into Pokemon in this day and age still? Shit.
で、これが今月の19日の事件の仮想。
Here's the images from the 19th of this month. Well, shit. They like were playing the guitar as they vomited. I want to say they vomited blood. Were they playing with like a tooth or something? Like their hand is bleeding. This doesn't look like they vomited on the instrument. It looks like if anything they like vomited on their pants and then like pulled out their guitar and kept playing with like their tooth or their fucking tongue or some shit. Looks a little bit messed up. Like that's what I'm seeing here, right? I'm seeing like lots of blood under the guitar, but not a lot of blood on the guitar, and certainly not enough to make like a pool in your on your pants like that. So I'm thinking coughed or vomited up blood, then pulled out the guitar and started playing, or like ripped out like their tooth or something. No, if you ripped out your tooth, there would not be this much blood. I don't think, not in a short amount of time, right? Although I don't know what it's like if you lose one of your like adult teeth that's actually like firmly in your jaw. Because baby teeth are meant to be lost. We'll see. So those are the images from the 19th.
どれ？お、これはまだ見てないな。
Let's see, I haven't seen this one before. Where'd you get it?
事件のまとめウィキに一瞬な。消される前に魚拓取った。
It showed up for an instant on Aggregator Wiki. I scraped it before it got deleted. Damn, alright.
ああ、こっちの方がアングルいいな。なあ、さっきのカラオケのやつと合わせてニヤ道にアップさせてくれよ。
This one's got a nice wrangle, right? Let me up this to Nihoniya along with the stuff you took from the karaoke box.
もう新聞部のオンラインストレージに上げてある。見やすいように加工して使ってくれ。
I've already upped it to the newspaper club's online storage. Make some adjustments so it's easier to see, then do what you want with it. Are they really gonna publish a picture like this? I honestly don't think most newspapers would even publish a picture of this story, but okay.
なんか最近再生数がいまいち伸びないんだよな。この前俺一人で作った動画のタグにもカメラ仕事しろとかアングル大体合ってないとか書かれるし。
Views have been kind of bad lately. The last video I up got tagged with cameraman, do your damn job, and this angle sucks. Dude, like this is clearly current events news. Like this guy is either dead or dying. Given the context of the previous story, this guy probably just recently died. So this is like super recent. The body'd probably be moved, or this guy'd be taken off the streets at some point, right? I mean, I would assume so, right? Ito looked really upset. Well, I know how he felt. The Hekiho Academy Newspaper Club has been the first in the nation to upload a video version of the school paper to Nihoniya. Okay. Our papers dealt with anything involving Shibuya. We'd done a special on the Shibuya restoration once that a local paper had written about. Okay. We won a special prize at a city journalism contest, and the video got over 80,000 views despite being boring as hell. That's pretty good for a school newspaper. 80,000 views? Damn. After that, though, I could understand being upset at the fact that new videos dealing with goings-ons in Shibuya weren't breaking 2 digits. Damn, that's rough. One big hit and then you're gone.
ああ、カメラ仕事しろのタグをつけたのは僕だ。あれアングルひどいぞ。
I was the one who put the cameraman to your damn jog tag on. That angle was crap, man. Oof. Oof. Got it.
Oh,
Oh.
original じゃん。
It's original.
疲れた
So tired. And then we're having interjections from other people in the classrooms. Alright. A boyfriend and girlfriend walked in, evidently back from shopping. Their arms were full of Garo Froggy stuffed animals.
だから違うって
I told you that's wrong.
は
Huh?
いえ、だから何がだよ。
What's wrong? Ito hadn't noticed then. I looked at my classmates who were already beginning to play with their new toys and said,
前も話したことあったろ大半の中高生は日頃アクセスしているサイトで情報レベルが知れるって
I've told you this before, right? You can tell your average teenager's information level by knowing what sites they go to. This was a personal theory of mine. Smartphones and Pokécoms had become a religion to the modern teenager, and the information they gained from those portable terminals had a huge influence on their lives. Okay. Some people only looked at SNESs like Twitter, Reen, Facebook. Others at @chan and Nikonia. Some looked at all of those, as well as the links they found there. Okay. And some looked at all those things, as well as their favorite celebrity blogs, the big 2chan hack creators, then whatever humor site was popular at the moment. All of these people were wrong-siders. All of them. The biggest. It is the big simp. And the scary thing was these days, 9 out of 10 wrong-siders were teenagers. Damn, this guy's got like... This guy's got a really shitty view of the world. Not that he's necessarily wrong, but it's not very compatible with interacting with people. Oh well. Garo Froggy launched 6 years ago with a cell phone strap that had gotten popular for reasons no one ever understood. And then lately a combination of Garo Froggy memes on Twitter, as well as an amateur anime posted to Nikonia, if I remember right. It was a talking, dancing frog saying anime themes. It created a fad, though I hated to use the word for something so stupid. It's a fad, just accept that. It amazed me people honestly believed the ribbit sounds made by the female actors in those videos were from the original. Or that the original was the stuffed animal that had come out recently and not the phone strap. My guess is they only got their information from Twitter.
それに
See what I mean?
男の場合はウェイトレスじゃなくてウェイターだって
Ah, thank you for pointing that out. A man can't be a waitress. He's a waiter. This is one of the reasons I joined the newspaper club. I didn't want to end up like them. Anyway.
宮代くん
Miyashiro? A girl, evidently the one in charge of the waitresses, was talking to me. What? This is his response? He's like, a girl's talking to me. Ugh! Ugh! Stay away from me! Yeah. Who was she? Who's this chick in my class again? Fujimoto? I think there's a Fuji or some shit. Ugh.
何田中さん
It's not even close. He's like, Fuji or something? What is it, Tanaka? Tanaka, I was totally wrong.
さ、教室で流す映像のビデオ撮影のことなんだけどさ。
Yeah, he does remind me of the Snafu MC a little bit at the start, where he's like super... He like thinks he's above everyone else, and then like no one likes him. He's a Sigma male. What's a subtle reference to, yeah, you could change your Twitch name to... Maybe another time. Alright, I bet the videos we're going to be playing in the classroom. What was she talking about? Oh right, they were going to make their own version of the Nikonia videos, where they wore costumes and danced.
そのアップとかできるのかな。こうずっと同じで撮るんじゃなくて。
You think we could do some close-ups or something instead of just shooting from the same spot the whole time? Wait, what was she telling me what to do? I didn't volunteer to videotape it. You guys forced me. Oh, apparently he's involved. Well, it was better than being told to dance or make props to myself. See. You see, look at this guy. Come on. Can't even talk to someone normally.
フィックスじゃなくていろいろ動かせっていうことですか?
You don't want to fix, you want us to move around? I forget what the, what is the, tips is up for? Okay. Okay. Fix. A video recording term refers to the act of fixing a camera in a single place and recording without moving it. Okay. SNS, social networking service. Okay. I assume we know what an SNS is, right? It's considered normal. There are even some who've gotten tired and burnt out, so they quit them. Yep. FaceMook. Everyone knows what FaceMook is, right? Please tell me. Reen. An IM application that can be used on smartphone or PC. Okay. Twitter. Fictional. A social network mini glove that allows for tweets up to 140 characters. Pokecom. Abbreviation of several pocket computers. Unique. The name is unique to Japan, has nothing to do with pocket computers sold in the 80s. They began to become popular in 2012 and are expected to replace smartphones. They come loaded with apps, and they'll be gaining the ability to make phone calls soon. Aren't they just... well, whatever. I was gonna say, isn't this just a smartphone then? Anyway. You think the main character is probably the kind of people who thinks nobody understands the deep characterization of Kirito from Sword Art Online? Oh my god, he might be. He might be. Alright, used here to refer to a word of tags or classify the video, blah blah blah. There are unique tags on the site like do your damn job, basically this, funny ending, perfect match. I never thought of that. Yeah, okay. Tags are tags in everything else. Okay, online storage. Yep. Scraping, saving a web page on the internet as data. Yep, aggregator wiki. A site that uses wiki software to compile information about a particular subject in an easy-to-read manner. Wiki software is a system that allows for the creation and editing of web-based hypertext using a browser. It comes from the Hawaiian phrase wiki-wiki, which means speedy. Cool. So basically, I'm just getting used to this. I think anything they specify as fictional is not a real thing, but anything that is real. Like, so for example, Pokecom doesn't exist. Twitter is the fake Twitter, so it's not real. Ryan doesn't exist. FaceMook, wait, FaceMook's real? FaceMook is real, what? Is Facebook real? Yeah, now I'm confused. Okay, SNS, like I would have said that everything else could be like real in real life, and now it's like, FaceMook's not real though. Oh, that's weird. Why is Reen fictional and FaceMook not? You know what? I don't know. Maybe they thought that people would, maybe it's a translation thing? Who knows? How isn't taken? Use whatever you like, man. Take your time. Okay, you want us to move around. Alright. That seems reasonable. At least she's admitting what she doesn't know what a fix is. Is he going to be entitled about that? We can do it. We can do close-ups or whatever. Come on, man. Great. I'll write up how we want you to do it and give it to you before the shoot. And then she fled. Even this guy's phrasing is like really weird. He chooses fled. I mean, departed. Like you could have picked any verb for how she leaves, and he picks fled. That's like part of the protagonist's mindset, right? Now she could be fleeing from him because she's disgusted with him, or irritated by him, or she could be like, I don't know. All right. Could be disgust or irritation with him, or it could be the protagonist's perception of how people see him. That surprised me. It scared me like that. I was so nervous. I was sweating a little. His name is Shinji, so I guess being a little bit pathetic makes sense. Ito is looking at me and sighing. What? No way, are you a normal man? What? What? You freak out whenever you're talking to someone new. They're your classmates? I can't help it, she came out of nowhere. And what's more, I made it a policy not to talk to anyone unless it was necessary. That was the first time in quite a while I'd spoken to any of my classmates but Ito. Ah, yeah, so I just don't talk to people.
どうだった？
How'd it go?
なんか自慢されてなかった？フィックスとかなんとか。
He was bragging about something, right? Fix or something?
だそれ。
What, more technobabble? He knows terms, but not practically used, right? They'd already started to spread meaningless information. Stop. Hearing whispers about me in the classroom brought back bad memories. I was starting to have a hard time breathing.
おい、大丈夫か？
Are you okay? Shinji... Oh, Shinji is watching over us, right? Must have looked like I was in pain because Ito was looking at me with concern on his face. Wait, our character's not Shinji, right? I quickly nodded to show I was fine.
陰口は聞こえないように言えってのな。しかも自慢でもうんちくでもなんでもないっての。
I want to talk behind someone's back. Do it where they can't hear you. It's not bragging, it's not technobabble.
別に
Our name's
気にして
Takira,
ないよ。
right? It doesn't
藤田さんは
bother me. Fujita's is...
誰だよ。
Who's Fujita?
田中さんは
Tanaka is
情弱
just
な
a-
だけなんだから。
Oh, wrong. Fighter. That's right. It wasn't worth worrying about. He was just ignorant. Ito looked over at our other classmates who were having fun. Disgusting. I had fun once. It was awful.
たく、オポチュニストが。
Freaking opportunists. Yeah, we don't have a Teru, we don't have a hero, we don't have a soda, but I think our protagonist is a bit of a snob and is basically taking the role of that creepy guy, of the creepy guy. Freaking opportunist? Uh-oh. What did that mean again? I knew I'd heard it before. I ran a search on my Pokécom, making sure not to let Ito see. Opportunist. One who takes advantage of any opportunity to achieve an end. It might be accurate.
そうだな。言い当ててると思う。みんなと同じ方向にひよってるだけだよ。
This guy's so pathetic. Holy shit. He looked up the definition of a word. He's like, yeah, I know what that is. I do all the time. Yeah. It's like, dude. Oh, man. That's right. I think it's exactly the right word. They'll use any opportunity to bring you down.
まったくな。
Got that right. Ito nodded, annoyed. Good, it looks like he didn't find out.
いつの時代もスクールカーストの底辺にいる俺らオタクは上部にいる方たちに話のネタを提供する運命なのか。
Did the otaku at the bottom of the school caste system always have to give the people above us something to talk about? Hold it. School caste system wasn't something I cared about, but...
おい、僕はオタクじゃないぞ。
I'm not an otaku.
またかよ。
Not this again.
またってなんだ。
What do you mean
理屈に合わな
again?
いことが気持ち悪いだけだ。一
I
石
still like it when people are wrong. Do you want to...
いい、ぶたなくていい。
No, I don't want a lecture.
オタクの定義は流動していて、当初あった悪いイメージは徐々に払拭されつつあるけれど。
The definition of the word otaku is changing, and the negative connotations with it that it originally had are disappearing, but
2015年
even
現
now,
在でも
in
アニメ
2015,
やら
it's
ラノベやらゲー
mostly
ムやら
serves
ア
to
イドルや
denote
らに
those
ハマってい
obsessed
る
with
人のことを
anime,
指す場
light
合が
novels,
大半
video
だ。
games, and idols. Another which he's gonna claim he's obsessed with, right? I thought I saw a boy reading a light novel turn towards me, but I didn't care.
僕はくだらないアニメやラノベは見ない。時間の無駄だ。
I don't watch stupid anime or read stupid light novels. It's a waste of time.
以前お前なんかのアニメを絶賛してなかったか？なんだっけ、ブラチュ？
Weren't you going on about how great some anime was? What was it, Blood Tune?
くだらないアニメは見ないと言ったんだ。
I said I don't watch anime. That's stupid.
素晴らしきかな我が人生や二人のベロニカとかの名画を検索しようとすらせずに同じようなアニメばっか見て。
It's no different than people who ignore quality movies like The Two Veronicas or It's My Wonderful Life and watch the same stuff over and over. France and Poland, directed by Krzysztof Kieslowski, chronicles the lives of two girls, both named Veronica, who were born in different countries. The scene on a bus is a must-see, a masterpiece. What movie is this parodying? I know this one's obviously It's a Wonderful Life, right? The life of a man and the strange miracle he encountered on Christmas Eve. In America, it's the quintessential Christmas movie. The sense of excitement when he runs through the city is unforgettable. I don't actually know what the two Veronicas is parodying. I assume it'd be like... I don't know what to... Anyway, a natural hierarchy. Impossible to define all the factors. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, what does it have any interesting information? Attractiveness, romantic experience. Okay, it's... Those with otaku hobbies or those who have trouble communicating fall on the lower end. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's just a description of like where you feel like you stand in school life. That's fine. Not anything particularly interesting to the school or the setting. It's just like a description of a generic school place setting. Alright, so you like It's a Wonderful Life. Man, that movie is fucking boring after the first time you see it. Holy shit. Listen, anyone that's seen this show is a casual. I get it. I like Ito more than I like Purity. Or people who lie about having read books like The Cities in Sequence or Winter's Garden and just read light novels all day. Okay, what are we parodying here? Cities in Sequence, something in... What would Cities in Sequence be a parody of? You know, I kind of... Fuck it. I want to know. Alright. A novella published in 1992 by Kazumi Yuki depicts the relationship between three 6th grade boys and a senior citizen who lives alone. A book you want to read when you're the same age as young boys. Oh, okay. Hard sci-fi written by Greg Morgan in '94 depicts a humanity that began to live in virtual reality and its thoughts on immortality. The scenes of theory-proving grounds are a must-read. Interesting. I thought it would be right. They would all be parodies, but I don't actually know some of these, so maybe not. All right. Enlightened. Yes, true enlightenment is being a lurker and only speaking when you need to or when someone's wrong. You're there. You get all the information, all the benefits of being in chat, but you don't actually have to put any effort in. You can just absorb and enjoy the show. The word otaku refers to people like that who only bother to absorb information about subjects they enjoy. Wait, isn't that you? That's literally you. That's literally you, buddy. If you're gonna say people who only bother to absorb information about subjects they enjoy, that's literally the definition of like your character right now. Camera otaku always seems like a bunch of weirdos to me. It's something not bothering anyone. Who cares? I'm Johnny Otaku myself. Stop, please. More than anything. I don't want to be the same as you people. He thinks he's better than them. Yep. Right, there's a schoolgirl breathing heavily. And then the door to the classroom flew open. Please! A female student was looking in. She must have been in a hurry because she was... I clicked positive as fast as I could. I guess it had to be clicking because I tried all the other things. She must have been in a hurry because she was a little bit out of breath. She brushed her long hair out of her eyes and was about to come out inside. I didn't even click what the positive read. I just clicked as fast as I could. A princess, perfect timing. The whole class started to talk to her. Hello. You have your own custom sprite. You must be relevant. What's your name? She was about to say something when her foot caught on one of the cables running across the room. Oh, she's going for a tumble, and she suddenly tripped. She almost tripped, but managed to keep her balance. Okay. Well, that's less of a disaster. She has a custom sprite. She surely has a name. She smiled a bit and took a deep breath. She's going to become less than a background character at some point. All the students around her, boys and girls alike, began to move. They surrounded her as if they were welcoming a long-lost family member. Hey, put this cable here. That's dangerous. It could be. No, I'm sorry. Empress, are you okay? Oh boy, her name's Empress. Don't worry about me. They called her Empress. Sweet Jesus. Alright, she answered them with a smile. And my character's... What is our character just doing here? Silently either seething or just staring at them like with pure hatred and loathing in his eyes? Yeah. I felt like our eyes met. Disgusting. I looked away without thinking. No, Kusuru. The first student council president of Heikiko Academy.
うちの喫茶でキッチン側とそれ以外のこっち側のなんていうのお客さんスペースってか
The place where the customers sit. Dining area. Kurusu smiled as she spoke.
ホール側?
In the hall? Damn, that is a funky way to write names.
そうそうホールだ。そのさ間を仕切る暗幕の数の調整ってワックンしてくれた?
Did Mr. Wacky adjust the number of curtains we got to partition the two?
調整? 涌井先生が増田君にそう言ったの?
Did Mr. Wacky say he was gonna do that, Miss Masuda?
聞いてない?
Couldn't hurt. Oh boy.
ということは絶対やってないでしょうね。わかった。私から言っておく。
Ooh, is she what Terahashi in Psyche K is parodying? I don't know, we haven't seen enough of her. Nobody's actively worshipping her, and she doesn't seem like she's intended to be perfect. As she doesn't know everything. Terahashi always, like, tries to prove that she's, the perfect person, right? Anyway, this one seems to be slightly down to earth at least. Means he definitely didn't do it. Fine, I'll talk to him. Alright.
大丈夫? なんか女帝先生たちから目つけられてんじゃん。てか怖がられてんじゃん。
You sure? The teachers seem to have their eye on you, Empress. Actually, they seem scared of you.
生徒会長なんて生徒側から学校側に無理難題を押し付けるためにいるものでしょ。大丈夫。なけなしの権力を振りかざすから。あと増田君、女帝はやめて。
Student council's job is to make the teachers' lives difficult for the benefit of the students. Don't worry, I'll use what little power I've got. Oh, and Masuda, stop calling me Empress. You prefer Queen? Thanks, Empress. Oh boy.
あなたね。
Listen, you. Most of the boys in the class called Kurusu Empress as a joke. She'd gotten the name after becoming a hero to her fellow students through gallant deeds like putting an end to the principal's endless homeroom speeches. Not to mention bringing more types of bread to the school store. Ooh, quite the change. Japanese school presidents have too much power. Thanks for the costume, no. It was a perfect fit.
田中、それ私が試着した時、最後までファスナー上がらなかったんだけど。
When I wore that, I couldn't get the zipper all the way up. I couldn't get it all the way up.
あと、地雷?
Should I have kept my mouth shut?
呼び込み禁止にするからね。
I can stop you guys from doing any advertising, you know.
ああ、ごめん、嘘。
Sorry, it was a joke.
ピチピチだから。これは割とマジで。いや、てか、どうせ胸で引っかかったんでしょ?
It probably got stuck on your breasts anyway, didn't it?
冗談、期待してるから笑い取ってよ。
It was a joke. I'm counting on you, okay? Get lots of laughs. She sure was popular. She even knew the names of students in other classes. The top of the school class caste system. That was the first phrase that came to mind. And then
タクル、話があるの。ちょっと来てくれる？
Oh no, she's talking to me. What do I do? Takeru, we need to talk. Can you come with me? Kurusu walked all the way over to me and Ito. Her expression was so kind, it seemed like she had to be putting on some kind of act. I could see that all the people who had been surrounding her were staring at me.
女帝、カメラっ子に何の用だ？友達なのか？
What does the Empress want? Camera kids, are they friends?
知らないの？ノノは。
What? You didn't know? None of us.
はあ、マジで？
Seriously? I ignored my classmates' whispers and focused on Kurusu. Her smile seemed fake, as if it had been plastered onto her face. Whenever she smiled like that, it meant she wasn't in a good mood.
今はごめん。事件に関して気づいたことがあって、それをまとめてる最中なんだ。
Sorry, I can't do it right now. I've just figured out something about the case and I'm putting it together. Ooh, she seemed disappointed.
文化祭の準備が佳境だろ。だからクルスが落ち着いたらで。
Student Council is really busy with the culture festival right now, right? So what's this? Calm down, Kurusu. She doesn't seem very happy. Her cheeks twitched a little. Crap. Kurusu didn't like it when I called her by her last name. Kurusu doesn't like it when we call her Kurusu. She likes to be called No-No. Can you come with me to the club room really quick? Yeah, you're gonna get a beating. I could sense a dark aura forming around her, hardly befitting a so-called empress.
来てくれる？
Can you? She was so close to me.
行こうか。
Let's go to the club room.
なあ、宮代。
Is that cool with you, Mishiro? Ooh, he knows they're in for it. Also, holy crap, is her neck tiny. When you get up this close, damn, it's like she's had surgery to remove half her neck muscles and she's just like her spine. It's just like a spine and a throat that can't move. Ito couldn't handle the terror. It didn't look like I could talk my way to this one. Seeing no other choice, I nodded and stood up.
クルス。
Kurusu. Ooh, she doesn't like that.
クルス。
Kurusu.
ちょっと。
Got a sec. This
グ
guy's
ラ
what,
ウンド
vice
に出す
president?
屋台のコンロの数でしょ？やっぱり一つの屋台につき一つで統一する。
Just about the portable stoves for all the food stalls on the field. We decided that every stall gets one.
え、いや、それは。
But that's
おう。
okay.
悪いけど例外はなし。校長に掛け合ったけどダメだったから。人数が多くて不満があるところは私が後で直
You
接
can
説
tell
明
he's
に行く。
important because his name's Schoolboy. They actually give everyone generic names until they've been introduced, even if they're talking to you. So, Schoolboy has a unique design, so he might be a relevant character. But we won't know until they say his name, what he is. He'll just be Schoolboy or Schoolgirl because we type of it just does that. It's kind of interesting. No exceptions. I spoke to the principal, but I couldn't get him to change his mind. If any of the bigger groups are still upset, I'll go talk to them myself.
了解。
Roger, I mean,
いや、じゃなくて、なんで持ち場離れて。
why aren't you where you're supposed to be?
クルス？だから忙しかったら落ち着いたらでいいって。
I told you we could. If you're busy, we could do this later. Our character's sounding extra
もう終わった
pathetic.
から。ごめんね川原くん。急ぎなの。
I'm done. Sorry, Kawahara. I'm in a hurry right now. Her tone was gentle, but it brooked no argument as she hurried to the club room.
宮代。
I
またお
clicked
前か。
left again.
今度は何したんだ？
What did you do this time? Kawahara actually cut her off. I didn't know his first name, but he was in the same class as Ito and I, and he was the vice president of the student council, and you don't know his name? Seriously? He's in the same class as you.
言わなくても分かってる。また例のくだらない記者ごっこだろ？
You don't need to
それ
tell
と
me.
も探偵気取りか？
You're pretending to be a reporter again, right? Or was it a detective? I knew why he was giving me a hard time. He didn't like the fact Kurusu was spending time with me.
別に。
It's not,
何？
What?
川原君
This
に
guy
迷惑
screams,
は
but VP. And he is the
と
VP.
思いますけど。
It's not any of your business, I think.
かかってるんだよ。
It is my business.
クルスの時間が割かれると、同じ生徒会の俺たち全員にな。
When you take up Cruz's time, you cause trouble for me and the rest of the student council. It's so very official and pompous. This classic vice president. I'm not wasting my time with this. There's no point. I tried to ignore him and just walk on by.
お前、小中と不登校だったんだって？
So I heard you skipped most of elementary and middle school. Is that true? I could feel my legs tense up. I stopped. My face got hot, and without thinking, I glared accusingly at Kurusu. She quickly shook her head.
川原くん、急いでいるから。
Kawara, I'm really in a hurry right now. He kept on staring at me. You actually hate something about school? I felt like he was grinning a little. It pissed me off. There was nothing I could say. I did the best I could to ignore him and turn away. He's kind of a dick. Masashi Awahara. Alright. I ignored what sounded like a little laugh and hurried to the club room. Wasn't me okay? The second the three of us were alone in the club room, her expression changed. The smile plastered on the student council president's face disappeared. This was who she really was.
何が？
What wasn't?
川原くんが言ってたこと。
Kara was
私
saying.
が彼に言ったわけじゃないから。
I didn't tell him, okay?
別に気にしてないよ。
Didn't bother me. Lies.
嘘。
You're lying. She called him out too. Really, it didn't. Your legs just locked up and froze. Everything about me was different than it used to be.
まあまあ。で、何？副部長。話があんでしょ？
So, what is it? Did you want to talk about something, Miss Vice President of the Newspaper Club? Oof. Vice President of the Newspaper Club. He just sighed and changed the subject.
タクル、あなたちゃんとご飯食べてるの？少し痩せたんじゃない？
Good. Are you eating right? It looks like you lost weight. What? Where was this coming from?
これからどんどん寒くなってくるでしょ？住んでるところの防寒対策とかちゃんとしてるんでしょうね。
It's gonna start getting colder soon, you know? Can you keep warm in the place you're living? Crap, she's in nag mode. Nag mode. She actually is nagging
進
now.
路調
Alright.
査、結局就職で提出したんですって？進学で提出しなさいって言ったのに、勉強できないわけじゃないんだから。
I heard you told the teachers you were gonna get a job after graduation. I told you to say you were going to college. It's not like you weren't smart enough.
確かに今からだと厳しいけど、受験なら私が面倒見るってこれも前に言ったでしょ？
I know it's gonna be hard for you to start now, but I've told you before, I can help.
調べたの？
You go asking the teachers.
というより、
Wait,
話ってそれ？
is that what you wanted to talk about?
どうなの？
Well,
ちゃんと食べてるの？
are you eating right?
食べてるよ。
I'm eating just
大
fine.
丈夫だって。
Everything's just fine. Press X to doubt. I waved my hand to bring the conversation to a close. I didn't want this to end the way it used to, with a 6-hour lecture of how every aspect of my life is wrong, followed by hard labor as my punishment. Kudos, it looked like she had a lot more to say, but a moment later...
あなた、先週の金曜日、学校サボったでしょ？
You skipped school last Friday, didn't you? Huh? Oh, so that was what this is about.
サボったよ。別に問題ないだろ。
I did. Is that a problem?
あるに決まってるでしょ？どこで何してたの？
Of course there's a problem. Where were you?
ストレージにアップした画像。あれを撮りに行ってたんじゃないの？
You were taking those photos up to the storage folder, weren't you? Damn, I figured that would be it. She was right. Those pictures I'd taken from the karaoke box were from last Friday when I'd skipped school. I started sticking out the place early that morning and waited for the manager of the condo building to open the curtains.
苦労したんだ。でもおかげで警察以外まだ誰も見てない現場の画像を撮れた。
It was a lot of work, but I was able to get photos of the scene no one else has except for the police.
こういう事件ばかり追いかけるのはやめなさいって前から言ってるでしょ。
I've told you before. You need to stop spending all your time on this stuff. Kurus was the vice president of the newspaper club and had been opposed to Ito and Mai's journalistic ethos for a long time. We'd spend most of our time investigating crimes in Shibuya, stuff like the attacks on the homeless people that had been flooding the city ever since the earthquake. And urban legends about a company involved in the rebuilding could put tons of security cameras all around the city. And a serial arson case where the culprit had never been caught. And now these strange deaths. For her part, Kurus said that the student paper shouldn't be investigating crimes. She wrote normal, sincere articles and made normal, sincere videos. The video about the Shibuya recovery efforts that had won a prize had mostly been her work.
タクル、今回あなたおかしい。学校をサボってまで事件を追うなんて今までなかったでしょ。
It's good. You're acting very strange this time. You've never skipped school to do this stuff before, have you? I hope not. That was true. The reason was why was obvious, right? Like, this guy's at his own club. Not quite. One is not quite a harem, my friend. One is not quite a harem. I was lucky enough to have this huge mystery right in front of me.
今回に関しては学校をサボるのもしょうがないよ。
This is worth skipping school for. Oh?
なぜ？
I was gonna say, explain why. What? What?
だって新聞部を立ち上げてから初めて起こった渋谷での大きな事件じゃないか。こんな美味しいネタ。
This is the first big thing that's happened in Shibuya since we started the news camera. It's a huge scoop. Yeah, I don't know if she's about that.
おいしい？
That face was bad news. It was scary. Ito was right next to me, so I grabbed him and held him tight.
おい、盾にすんなって。
Hey, don't use me as a shield. Wait,
てか、
why
副部
shield?
長何その顔？
Why is her face so scary? Should have been paying attention. Ito.
おいしいですって？
A
人が
huge
死ん
scoop.
でるっていうのに？
People are dead, and to you, it's just a huge scoop. Ooh, that's not cool.
違います。
No,
すいません。
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Stay away from me. I really can't handle this.
おすんなって。ちょっと待って、マジで盾なの？
Don't push me. Wait, are you really using me as a shield?
やばいやばい。
Oh shit, shit. That face was seriously bad news. The Empress was scary enough she could send a demon running in terror. I'd never even met a demon either. That's just how scary she was.
もう一度言ってくれる？
Can't repeat
より
that?
によってあなたが人が死んでおいしいですって？
Want to tell me again how all these deaths are just a huge scoop for you? Oh shit. I need to find some way to stop her. And then I felt the wind rush by my ears.
Huh?
Oh.
Ah.
Oh. And at the worst possible time, the wind blew through the room. Kurus didn't even have the time to hold down her skirt. Room text for a second. I don't know if this game's gonna let us remove text actually. Does it have it? Full screen, config, title, backlog, help, system menu, skip mode, scroll text and list, enter, auto mode. Hide text is apparently back. We'll see. There you go. You got your one. Chat has their 1 second of visible text. Okay, here comes my serve. Alright, looks like there's someone playing volleyball? Tennis? My eyes were locked with Gruesome as I heard the sounds in the open window. I hadn't even realized it was open till then. There was a tennis court on top of the special use building. That was probably the tennis team out there. Ah, I called it! You'll take that sexy belly button. Yeah. Yes, nothing that obscene, Poco. That skirt's really high though. Like, shit, man. Is that skirt like... That must be the shirt then, right? That must be shirt. I don't want to go back, but that must have been shirt. Like, there's no way you have, like, a skirt that's, like, above your belly button. That'd be weird. That's definitely shirt, but alright. I needed to say something. Was I supposed to tell her I hadn't seen anything?
副部長
Vice President. I'm looking at this shirt design and I'm really confused how they got her belly button exposed. Can someone... How does her belly button get exposed? Alright, so let's look. We got collarbones here, shoulders, collarbones, breasts. So like belly button's like here, right? Maybe a bit lower, like if you want to go... Like, this looks like her hip, like this is like the start of your hips, so this should be belly button around here. Maybe like around here? Ish, maybe. I don't know how it gets exposed. The jacket should keep this closed. It's a little bit weird. Like they stretched her torso or something? I don't know. Maybe this is censored, so they like redid her body and made it look... I don't know. We'll see.
白なんですね。イメージ通りというか。
Wait, I guess that's just what I'd expect. What the? That's your response? Okay, seriously, dude. I know this isn't us, but you got two easy responses. You can just move on with your life. You just move on with your life and start a new topic. Or like you act like nothing happened and just let the conversation die for a minute. Come on, man. Idiot, are you trying to get yourself killed? That's what I'm thinking. She's gonna grab the nearest sharp implement and jab it into your eye socket, man.
私の下着の色が何色か今関係あんのか
Does it really matter what color my underwear is, asshole? Yep. Yeah, right now? Does it really fucking matter? Nope. I flinched at the sudden noise. I'm sorry. And then I realized, I was sure that was the sound of Kudos kicking the wall, or maybe the sound of her murdering Ito, but I was wrong. It was coming from deeper inside the room.
あの子はまったく
Girl. Yeesh. She's clearly playing video games.
カズキ来てたの
Kazuki, are you here?
カズキそうかヘッドホン
Kazuki, oh, she's got her headphones on. Bruce sighed and pulled off the headphones that Kazuki always wore.
円数2でイラついたからって壁を殴るのはやめなさい何度も言ってるでしょ
I've told you to stop hitting the wall every time something goes wrong in ESO 2. He's playing Elder Scrolls Online 2? Hold up, let's see what the thing says. Abbreviation of Empire Sweeper Online 2, the sequel to what was once Japan's largest online RPG. Empire Sweeper Online. Like its predecessor, is well received, but the majority of users have moved on to SO2. The inability to transfer character data caused a small number of veterans to stay with the first one. The game takes place in the fantasy world of Baselard, which is modeled after medieval Europe. Okay. So, I'm gonna go with Elder Scrolls Online 2. Because that's funnier.
壁へこんでるじゃないもう
Look, you're making a dent. Ana Kazuki. The only first-year student in the newspaper club. Oh, forget her. This was my chance. Your chance to do what? She seems like she's completely uninterested in newspaper or article studying, you know, or like the murders, and 100% involved with playing video games in the club. As Chris was rubbing the red marks on Kazuki's hand, I said,
とにかく僕は事件を追う。
hey, I'm gonna keep...
発見があったんだ。もしかしたら大きな手がかりになるかもしれない。
I'm gonna keep following this case. I found a clue and I think it might be a big one. Magical wind. You missed magical wind if you've only recently returned. Or you missed the last 5 minutes. Magical wind that somehow blew up her skirt. And then they gave us a weird shot of her belly button for some reason, which I'm not sure how it got exposed considering her outfit. Bruce glared at me for a moment, but...
Oh, マジか。よし、すぐ準備する。聞かせてくれ。ぜひ聞かせてくれ。
Okay, right away. Tell me all about it. I can't wait. Ito hurried over to the club's computer, desperate for any chance to escape his doom. I stared back at Cruz for a moment, and then...
PC 立ち上げて、ストレージの画像プリントアウトしてくれ。
Booted up the computer and printed the images in the storage folder. All of them? Like, that's a lot of photos to print it. Most photographers take like 100 plus pictures in a photo session. Oh, okay. Roger. He just says Roger and runs off, alright. Ito's voice was louder than it needed to be as he turned on the computer. Didn't we literally just watch someone playing video games on the computer? Why would he be... whatever.
もう殴らないこと。
More punching the wall, okay? She's like the club mother. Maybe she took pity on poor Ito because she didn't say anything else, but she still crossed her arms and glared at us, and she leaned against the wall. She was at least gonna hear me out, it looked like. Or maybe this was just her way of making sure I didn't escape. Oh, lunch later. Why? I don't want it. I don't want it.
盾にしやがって。
You're
気まず
using
す
it as
ぎ
a
んだ。
goddamn shield.
こんなもん10-0の巻き込まれ事故
100%
じゃ
your
ね
fault to begin with.
それは謝るけど。
Sorry, but you
でも今回はまだマシだ。
were lucky.
手が出なかったから。
She didn't get violent. Yeah, she could have easily slapped you for that. Think of your anime tropes, Shinji.
副部長。
What? Vice President? I nodded. Cruz was the girl everyone looked up to, but she was actually very short-tempered. It would take me more than 5 fingers, but less than 10 to count the number of times she'd slapped me hard. I'm gonna bet that at least 8 of those you deserved. When I told him that.
マジか。
Serious?
そ
I
ん
mean,
なんていうか。
really? Are there really teenage girls
そんなこ
that
と
do
する
that
女子高生
stuff?
本当にいいのか。ヒスか S っ子手前じゃん。
It's one step short of a hiss or a sco. I don't even know what hiss or scos are. SKOs, a girl with a sadistic personality who enjoys inflicting pain on others. Extremely dangerous. Okay. Oh, so sadistic girl. Got it. Hiss, hysteric. Originally a term used in psychology, but used here to refer to a short-tempered person who can't control their emotions. Damn, we're getting some really interesting slang here. All right. Let's go.
Ne, あなた方。陰口は聞こえないように言えって言われないの?
Has everyone ever told you that if you want to talk behind someone's back, you should do it where they can't hear you? Wait, he just said that verbatim last scene. Damn. He can't even say he hadn't thought of that or oops, he literally just told us that as advice. Oof. The almost hiss didn't even bother looking at us as she spoke.
いや、そのセリフを言ったことはあるんだけどね。それもついさっき教室で。
No, we just said that to someone though in the classroom. Awkward.
そう。
I see. And then she fell silent. She was scary as hell. It felt like if I moved, she'd kill me.
おごりだ。決定だ。
You're buying. It's
大
settled.
盛りにデザートだ。
Supersize you with dessert too. No objections.
高校じゃん。今のは。
It was 50% your fault. Actually, it was 100% Ito's fault for not keeping his fucking mouth shut.
なあ。
Hey. What?
見たか。
Did you see
見
it?
たよな。
You saw it, right?
見てないよ。
I didn't. That was a lie. I'd seen it. They were white. I glanced at Chris out of the corner of my eye. I guess that really was what you'd expect. Still, I'd only gotten a glimpse. It was entirely possible I'd been mistaken. If I'd burned the image into my brain now, maybe the next time something like this had happened, I'd be able to react more quickly. So I prayed for more good luck. If it ever did happen again, I swore I'd react as a right-sider should. A right-sider wouldn't panic over something as insignificant as seeing a girl's underwear. In a situation like that, it was critical you stay calm. You got a 5-step plan? You got a 10-step plan for how to stay calm when you see a girl's underwear? Do you need to write them out? When she heard Ito turn on the printer, Kazuki trotted over like she usually did. What am I clicking positive or negative for? That online game addict had the best computer skills of anyone in the club. Whenever she was around, it was her job to run searches and organize information on the PC, but...
Kazuki, 手伝わなくていい。この件については部の活動と認めてないから。
Kazuki, we don't need you for this. I don't consider this part of our club activities. Kazuki gave us a questioning look. Yeah, that's...
そうなんだ。
Right. Kazuki just said, like she always did and walked away. Kazuki put her headphones on and went back to the corner of the room. She started slamming keys again. I never did know how to talk to her. Actually, it felt like it had been forever since I'd even spoken to her. If you could call this a conversation, that is. She'd been part of the newspaper club for 6 months, and all I knew about her was she liked games, knew a lot about computers, and hated talking. In the end, Ito printed out the pictures, and I took them and went in front of the bulletin board before Kus changed her mind. If Kus was going to listen, this is probably better to start at the beginning. Okay. Probably better to start at the beginning. Alright, where's the beginning? She didn't seem interested in the cases, but if I ignored her and it made her even madder. Even using Ito as a shield wouldn't be enough to save me.
今僕らが追っている事件は2つ。まず1つ目は今月の7日に起きたニコニア生放送公開自殺事件。通称こっちみんな。
There are 2 cases we're looking at right now. The first occurred on the 7th of the month during the Nikonia live stream. It was a public suicide called the Don't Look at Me case. That's the one we saw as the first scene of this game.
場所はここ、ジンナン。
Happened here in Jinan.
事件の内容は名前の通りニコニア動画で生放送していた男が放送中に突然自殺した。
Just like you probably guessed, a man killed himself without warning during a Nikonia live stream.
厳密に言うと完全に自殺と決まったわけじゃないんだけど、
Strictly speaking, we don't know for
死ん
sure
だ
that it's
時
a
の状
suicide,
況か
but
らそう言われて
sure looks like one. Can I change the settings configuration? I want the text speed to go way the fuck up. It's really slow. Okay. It's getting on my nerves. There we go. Okay. I kind of like this interface, by the way. Like the fact they put your actual screen in like a portrait, tilted to an angle, and give you like this interface is really cool. Alright. So it sure looks like one. That's fair. It looked like
名
one.
前は大谷優馬、21歳。
Didn't I
俺
just
し
speed this up?
未来が見えてしまう件についてっていう預言者もどきみたいな放送を定期的にやって結構アクセス数を稼いでいたニア生主。
The dead man's name is Yuma Utani, age 21. He was a live streamer who got quite a lot of views with some kind of fortune-telling program called TIL. I can see the future. Today I learned, I guess. I needed that drink.
でその状況だけど、
So here's how it went down.
放
First,
送中に大谷氏はコメントを設ける時間をとって一旦カメラ前から姿を消す。
here's how it went down. First, Utani gave the audience some time to ask questions. He left the camera's field of view.
その後ドアがノックされて誰かが来たらしい音をわずかだけどマイクが拾ってる。聞き取れないけど何かを話す声も。
After that, there was the sound of someone knocking at the door. It was faint, but the mic had picked it up. There were also some voices, but you can't make them out.
そしてカメラ前に戻ってくると 右腕が半分なくなってた。細かく切断されて自分が持ってきた皿の上に乗ってたんだ。
When he came back in front of the camera, half his right arm was missing and it was chopped up into tiny bits, sitting on the plate he was carrying.
そしてその指を自分で食べた。まるで痛みを感じていない素振りで。
And then he started eating his own fingers like he wasn't feeling any pain at all. Kurusu's expression changed a little. He probably hadn't known that. The suicide had been big news even on TV, though she'd probably seen it, but the details had been so horrific the news hadn't broadcast them. But those details could be found anywhere on the internet. It was only a matter of time before someone started putting it all together. The video itself had even started to get around.
そして少し経ってからいきなり苦しみ出して。
And then, after a moment, he started to scream in pain.
死亡した。
And then
見
he
ていた
died.
人は事件として発覚するまでいたずらか何かだと思っていたみたい。
Evidently, the viewers thought it was some kind of gag or something at first.
出血性ショック死な。警察の発表でもそうなってたし、混沌するまでの時間を考えても間違いない。
Hypervolemic shock. Hypovolemic shock. When the body loses too much blood, the heart stops working properly. That's what it said in the police report. And given the time until he collapsed, it's almost certainly right. Alright. I believe it. Ito added that. Okay. Ito knew more about this stuff than I did. He was a fan of bizarre murders and had read 10 times as many killers' diaries and non-fiction crime books as I had.
何らかの理由で精神が錯乱した上での自殺って見解が濃厚らしいけど、警察は自殺の直前に部屋を訪ねてきた誰かを探しているらしい。
Most likely theory is he experienced some kind of mental disorder before the suicide, but the police are supposedly looking for whoever visited the room first.
もしかしたら自殺幇助や自殺教唆の疑いがあるんじゃないかって。
They might be responsible for aiding or abetting a suicide. Yeah, that's probably worth looking into. In Japan, if you saw someone trying to kill themselves and didn't intervene, it wasn't a crime unless the police could prove you wanted them to die. Yeah, that's gonna be, like, insanely tough to prove unless you have some written evidence. But aiding in a suicide or encouraging someone to commit suicide was illegal. Okay. That meant the police were probably looking for whoever met Utani just before his death. Judith was silent, but she was looking at the board and seemed to be listening. It seemed safe. On to the next case.
2つ目は19日に起きた事件。死体の状況から音漏れ炭っていう通称がついてる。
Second, the case that occurred on the 19th, it gets its name leaky noise from the condition the body was found in.
場所はここ、深セン。
It happened here in Shinsen. Alright, so that's here. This is obviously just him posting the note, and then this is the marker leading to where it is. Nice that we're putting things together in a
名
way
前
I
は
can
高
understand.
柳桃音、20歳。ニコニアの歌ってみたの歌い手で、最近ネットで有名になってきてるアニメソングのコピーバンドのボーカル。
It's always nice to see those like string boards with all that stuff, but they never actually show you how they set them up. In most movies, in crime dramas, they usually just, you know, you just walk into a room and there'll be like a wall with like a million strings leading to all these things, and you're like, yeah, okay, I don't know what half of these are, but cool. At least we're getting these built in real time. Alright, the girl's name was Momone Takanayagi. Age 20, she was a sang-it singer on Nikoniya. She'd been getting really famous online singing anime theme songs.
復興祭のステージで歌うことも決まってた。
She was gonna sing at the Restoration Festival too.
バンドの派手な衣装を着たまま一人でストリートライブもしていて、晴れの日は毎日決まった場所、決まった時間で演奏していたらしい。
Every sunny day, she'd always go to the same place at the same time and put on a performance in her fancy band costume.
その日はいつもの場所にかなり遅刻して現れてライブを始めた。
That day, she started her concert pretty late.
だけど何か様子がおかしかった。
Something was wrong.
声が
Her
小さく
voice
て、
was small
いつもの感
and
じじゃ
didn't
なかったらし
sound
い。
like she usually did.
そして結局
And then in the
ライブの
middle of
最中に
the concert,
死亡した。
she died.
こ
Blood
っちも
loss
失
here
血死。
too.
ライブを始める前からお腹を刺傷していたんだ。
She'd been stabbed in the stomach before she even started the concert. Interesting. Wait, wait, I'm reading this details. There's more details in this leaky noise thing on the page. Case details. She died from blood loss after having a speaker implanted in her stomach. It's believed after she performed with her band at the concert hall. Someone sliced her stomach open and inserted a speaker inside the wound. And the speaker inside her stomach continuously played a recording which said, "Stay and listen for a while," a fan of hers said. Damn. Alright. She had something special that just drew you, and it's a damn shame. Oof.
妙なのがやっぱり遺体の状況で。糸、再生してくれ。
What's strange was the condition the body was found in. Ito played the video.
Oh.
Oh, sure thing. Ito tapped a few keys on the computer's keyboard. And a moment later... Screams, okay. Is this really happening? She's dead. She's dead. Really dead. Your family has ancestry related to the demon? Really? A demon? Really? Call an ambulance? Kus looked confused when she heard the sound. Evidently, she wasn't able to make it out.
ああ、そっちじゃなくて、渋谷ニュースが音声いじってアップしてくれた方。
The one, not that one. The one Shibuya News upped with the enhanced audio.
ああ、そっちだよな。
Ah, that one. Yes. Here we go. Okay, screaming. Is this really happening? He's dead? He's really dead. Call an ambulance. Thanks, take it easy. Thanks, take it easy. Thanks, take it easy. Interesting. Very interesting. Her expression changed. She must have been able to hear it this time.
ありがとう。ゆっくりしていってね。
Thanks.
常連のお客さんによれば、いつも彼女はこの一言からストリートライブを始めていたんだって。
According to the regulars, that's how she would begin every performance.
ニアドユーザーだからな。なんでも歌ってみたの歌い手の中では彼女のライブが一番だって最近評判だったらしいぞ。
She's a new user after all. Lately, people have been saying she's the best sang-it singer around. Gruesome seemed to be ignoring me and Ito. She was staring at the computer screen that was the source of the sound.
今のは
What was that?
悲鳴は死体を発見したお客さんたちのもの。動
Screams
画
were
で
from
撮っ
the
ていた人がい
audience.
たんだ。で、今のは高柳さん自身の声で。
The screams were from the audience members who discovered the bodies. One of them was recording a video, and the last part was in Takayanagi's voice.
お腹に埋め込まれていた小型のスピーカーから聞こえてきたんだ。
It was from a miniature speaker embedded in her stomach. Yeah, that's gotta be a little bit weird, right? It just seemed a little bit confused, so Ito
つ
interjected.
まりその日のライブは最初から録音されたものだったんだよ。
In other words, the whole concert that day had been pre-recorded.
後で発見された証拠によると、彼女はコンビニで売ってるカッターで自分で自分の腹を裂いて Bluetooth のスピーカーを埋め込んだらしい。
Evidence found later indicated she'd slit open her own stomach with a utility knife she got at a convenience store, then stuck a Bluetooth speaker inside.
ガムテープで止血とも呼べない適当な応急処置をした後、着ている服と衣装でその傷を隠してライブを始めたんだ。
She closed the wound up with duct tape, not that it actually did much good. Then she used her clothes and the outfit to hide the wound and started her performance.
最初は
What the
録
fuck?
音した自分の声に合わせてギターを弾いていたらしいんだけど、途中からは歌声だけになった。
At first, she played the guitar along with the sound of her recorded voice, but after a while, she stopped playing.
それからはうつむきっぱなしだったみたいだから、その時にはすでに死亡してたんじゃないかな。だけどお客さんは様子がおかしいとは思いながらも気づかずに ずっと聞き続けて。
That was when she leaned forward and didn't get back up, so she was probably already dead then, but the audience thought it was strange. They kept listening.
彼女のポケットに入れていた携帯音楽プレイヤーが傷から流れた血液で壊れたのか、最初からそういう設定だったのか。
Either the blood from her wounds broke the portable music player in her pocket, or maybe it was supposed to be this way from the start.
とにかくさっきの音声トラックがリピート再生されるまで死んでいるとは気づかなかった。
But until the same line you just heard played over and over, nobody realized she was dead. Kuru's face was a mixture of confusion and discomfort. Of course it was. She'd never heard of anything like this. I couldn't hold back my excitement.
すごいだろ。
Claiming that if one of your ancestors claims that they're half demon, half human, I'm betting they just didn't know who one of the parents was, and they gave the excuse that they were like assaulted by an incubus or some shit. That's probably the outcome. That's where the idea of incubi come from, right? Let's see. If I look up incubus. Or maybe not unknown, but more like unwilling to disclose who the father likely is. Let's see. Scientific explanations. I don't care about sleep paralysis. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Straight from Wikipedia. Some victims of incubi may have been victims of real sexual assault. Some authors speculate that rapists may have attributed the rapes of sleeping women to demons in order to escape punishment. Robert Masello asserts that a friend or relative is at the top of the list in such cases and would be kept secret by the intervention of spirits. In quotes. Also, yeah, I believe we can just quote Camelot for the other source of incubi. Yeah, that is one of the explanations. Amazing, right? She doesn't seem comfortable with that amazement. Yeah, incubi. That is one explanation for like claiming that one of your ancestors claiming they're like half demon or half spirit. Either that or they're just a massive fucking chuny. An 18th century chuny or whatever. Alright. So she does not seem Kudus doesn't seem to be Kudus doesn't seem to be comfortable with that. Instead of agreeing, Kudus' brow furrowed. She probably didn't realize it, but she'd wrapped her arms around herself, so she's comforting herself, which means she's uncomfortable. That's fair. What's wrong? Was that a little bit creepy? And?
ここまでは単にこれまでの事件の整理だろ。発見ってのは?
All we've done so far is go over. We know. What's your discovery? Oh, yeah, he was right. I used the computer to print out a series of pictures.
当然だけど、両方とも事件の目的はわからない。
Obviously, we don't know what the motive behind these two killings are.
今のところ唯一の不審人物である大谷氏の部屋を訪ねてきた人間が何者で何を考えて何を話したのかも見当がつかない。
The one suspect we've got is whoever visited Utani's room, and we don't know who they are, what they wanted, or what they were talking about.
でも僕はこの妙な事件はまだ続くと思う。被害者の共通点からの推測でしかないけどね。
But I think there's more than enough of this to come. More of this to come. It's only a guess, though, based on something the victims have in common.
は？マジか？
Seriously? Ito leapt out of his chair in shock. Yeah, that's the sound of a real printer. They actually put some effort into recording that. I imagine they just stuck a microphone near like a laser printer or some shit, and we're like, yeah, good enough. I couldn't blame them.
共通点に関しては散々話し合ったろ。 分かったのは渋谷に住んでることと宮道のユーザーだったこと。
Spent forever going over things they could have had in common. All we came up with is that they lived in Shibuya and they both used Nikoniya. That could be like a bajillion people.
あとはまあ2人ともある程度の知名度があって自殺した状況が異常だってことくらいか。
The only other things that they had were they were both semi-famous and they both died in a bizarre way.
でもそんなもんじゃそれ以上のことは
Didn't
何
tell
も
us
見えて
anything.
こ
We
なかっ
didn't
ただ
already
ろ
know though. Did it?
気づかないか？
So you didn't
別
see
の
the other
共
thing
通
they
点。
had in common? Oh. I pointed towards the bulletin board as I spoke. Ito looked really annoyed. You arrogant asshole.
そもそ
Stop
も
with that.
こっちの気を引くようにプリントアウトしてるやつはなんだ。
Stop with that thing you're printing out anyway. One of the best parts of finding someone like this was seeing the angry look on his face. Well, it was only yesterday I found it myself, though.
じらさなくていいから何を見つけたの？
What did you find? Who's beckoned for me to go on. No matter what she said for hearing all this, she probably wanted to know what came next. Oh, he was done printing. Kazuki suddenly stood in front of me. He offered me the printed images without a word.
ありがとう。
Thanks. A woman of few words. Then she offered me something else. A lollipop?
くれ
Are
る
you giving me this? She nodded.
どうも。
Thanks. Very many words. Kazuki seemed to be communicating in her own unique way. She walked over to the bulletin board and tapped the data printouts on the two cases with her finger.
和樹どうした？
Kazuki, what's wrong? She did it again. I saw the part she was pointing at and nodded.
そう。
That's
日
right.
付だよ。7
Dates.
日、
The
19
7th
日。
and the 19th. What's significant about the 7th and 19th? They aren't a week out. Are they 2 weeks out? 7 plus 14? No, that doesn't make sense. What's the significance of 7 and 19? I don't know. Okay. I'm not going to spend too long on it.
共通点。9
That's
月
what they
7
have
日
in
と
common.
9月19日。渋谷で発生した異常な事件。
Strange
わかるだろ。
deaths on September 7th and September 19th. Ring a bell? I kept looking at Ito. Usually he'd be the one to pick up on this. I'm assuming that there were murders last year or in a previous year, possibly before the disaster? A second later, or the disaster was almost in? Oh. He froze. He must have figured it out.
猟奇マニアのお前ならわかるだろ。
With your love of weird murders, you know what I'm talking about. I pinned the images I printed out onto the bulletin board's map.
9月7日、集団ダイブ。
September 7th, the group dive.
9月19日、妊娠男。
September 19th, the pregnant man.
9月29日、
September
貼り付け。
29th, crucified.
10月10日、ヴァンパイア。
October 10th, the vampirer. Wait, now I'm lost on the dates.
10月23日、ノータリン。
October 23rd, brain dead.
10月28日、うまい手。
October 28th, yummy hand.
11月4日、ドキュンパズル。
November 4th, the DQN puzzle.
ニュージェネレーションの狂気。
The new generation madness. How are the dates connected? Yep. 6 years ago in 2009. Okay, so they are murders from before the disaster, like I predicted. A series of strange deaths that occurred just before the earthquake that struck Shibuya on November 6th. Oh. So what he's suggesting is that not only will there be more, but there might potentially be a disaster in the area. They became famous for the words left at the scene of every crime. Those eyes. Whose eye? They called the killings the New Generation Madness. The murders took place in Shibuya, but the whole country took an interest in them. At the time, I was in 6th grade, like a lot of people, and I followed every new development on the internet.
日付が6年前の事件とぴったり一致してるんだ。事件も自殺っぽいっていう内容はともかく、猟奇的だという点で同じ。
We have 9. Oh, are the days right? 7? Oh shit, the first 2 dates are exactly the same. They're off by a little bit. They're off by the month. No, they're... okay, I can see that now. I can see that now. They're set up to look like suicides, but they're every bit as weird as the old killings.
偶然でしょ。
It's a coincidence. She seemed to be trying to force the words out of her throat. I'm surprised this person, who apparently doesn't pay attention, noticed that. Bruce was acting a little strange. Her arms clutched her torso even tighter.
副部長?
Vice President? Maybe it was because of all the creepy pictures she'd seen. Bruce was clearly shaking. She tried her best to stop it as she spoke.
何でも関連づけて大きくしたがるのはやめなさい。2つたまたま一致しただけでしょ。
Stop trying to connect every little event. It's just a coincidence, Ayla. Oh,
偶然かそうではないかすぐにわかるよ。ニュージェネ第3の事件が起こったのは9月29日。
We'll know for sure soon. The third New Generation Madness took place on September 29th. In other words,
今日だ。
today. Whew, all right. That's not good news for anybody, but I guess we'll
も
see
し
it.
今日渋谷でまた妙な事件が起こったら、その時は間違いない。
If something
偶
weird
然が
happens
3
in
つ続く
Shibuya
なんて
again,
放っておける要素じゃないだろ。
if a coincidence happens 3 times, it's not a coincidence anymore. A phone rang. Oh man, there'd be so much. Oh my god, that phone ringing. That would be nerve-wracking. I assume it's not anything. It was mine. Oh no. Is it just like your
はい。
friend?
もしもし。
Yes?
いや事故とにかく
There we
起きたか
go.
もしれないんだよ。
There's been a murder. Maybe an accident. Anyway, I think what you said might have happened. I could feel my heart starting to race as she spoke. Don't you just hate being right sometimes? It was a love hotel area in Dogenzaka, 5 minutes from Shibuya Station. A few days ago, there had been some kind of suspicious fire here, and I'd come to do some reporting. The place was supposedly a love hotel spot, but even at night when business should have been booming, it wasn't particularly exciting. During the day when the lights were turned off, if you didn't look at the signs, it wouldn't look very different from your average neighborhood. One of the buildings was a 4-story love hotel with the terrible name Fairy's Dance. It faced a narrow street and there was no parking lot, so the police car was parked at a meter nearby.
こっち
This way. Blue hair is hella cute. Yeah. Sarika was standing in front of a general store some distance away. She was supposed to be spending the day taking photos of the area around the last 2 crime scenes.
何があった？
What happened?
わかんない。さっきゲンさんと107の近くですれ違った時にここで何かが起きたって教えてくれたの。
I don't know. I passed by Jen near the 107 and he told me something was up here.
相変わらずあの人はよくわかんないな。
I don't get that guy.
どこから仕入れてるんだ？
Where does he find out about this bullshit?
便利だからいいけど。
It's helpful, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. Gen was a homeless man I knew who'd sold me all of the books in my secret stash. This guy is in 2015 and needs porn mags because I guess he doesn't have access to the internet. He was a drunk who claimed to be of noble blood, but the stories he told me about his past didn't sound very noble at all. The guy was a weirdo, but since he spent all his time wandering around Shibuya, he knew a surprising amount of info about it.
でも大事なのは間違いないっぽいよ。さっき中に入ってった警察の人が応援呼んでたみたいだし。
It seems like something's really happening though. The policeman who went inside looked like he was asking for backup. I see. I decided to start by taking a video of the outside of the hotel with my smartphone.
お前
You're really run
こういう
fast.
時だけ足
Sounds
早いな
Like these gods. Now you're skipping school. How's it feel, Gruesome? I left the two of them in the club room and they'd only now caught up with me. Must have ran here. Ito especially was breathing very heavily.
なんだ
Chris
も
came
来たのか
too? Kazuki had decided not to come, evidently. Of course not. I've never seen her outside except when we were going to and from school.
で事件か
So, did something happen? I told Ito what I'd heard from Serica. He seemed really disappointed.
なんだそりゃ
You
単
sure
に
it's
血
not
は
just
喧嘩かなんかで騒ぎになったんじゃねえの
had a fight? I mean, they've taped off the whole area.
それだけでわざわざ応援なんて呼ぶかそれに今日は29日なんだぞ
Would you call reinforcements just for that? Today's the 29th, you know.
だから
I told
気
you.
にしすぎだって言ってるでしょ
Overthinking this. Bruce seemed upset. She glanced at the love hotels around her in disgust.
早く学校に戻りましょう
Back to school.
学生がいていい場所じゃない
It's in a place where
監視カ
students
メ
are
ラに映
supposed
っ
to be.
ているのが問題になったらどうするの
What if the security camera spots us? You probably didn't want to get involved. Ever since the rebuilding, there's been more cameras around Shibuya than ever before, even around the love hotels. In our school uniforms, we probably stood out. Bruce motioned for us to go home. And then... I saw something in the viewfinder. On the 3rd floor of the Love Hotel. Okay. The windows in one of the rooms facing the alley were open. The windows must have been all the way open, but because the curtains were fluttering out.
なあ普通こういうとこって窓開いてないもんだよな
You don't normally open the windows in a place like this, do you? I asked Ito as I looked up at them.
んまあそうなんじゃねえの
Probably
使
not.
ったことなんかねえからわかんねえけど
I've never been to one. Oh. Ito followed my gaze and saw it for himself. It felt suspicious. I'd never been to a love hotel either, so I didn't know, but normally you'd keep the windows shut, right? You wouldn't want people seeing or hearing what you were doing? And then suddenly I heard a sound from somewhere. It was a calming sound with a simple melody. I took a closer listen. Was it a music box? We can hear it in the background now, right? It definitely was. It was coming from the room with the open windows, sounding like it was inviting us in. What was going on? I looked around. The building across from the open window was another love hotel, but it had no windows on that side. I couldn't look into the building like I'd done with the karaoke box last week. And I certainly couldn't climb my way up.
ちょ
Oh
っと
boy, we're gonna be entering a crime
Nani
scene, aren't we? Wait, what are you thinking? I must have had a pensive look on my face because Cruz turned to look at me and said,
バレないように中
"We
に
can get
入れれ
inside
ば
without them finding us."
あ
I looked over at the parking meters. There was still only one car. Okay,
裏口ぐらいどっかにあるだろうから
there should be a rear
応援の
entrance
警察
somewhere.
が来る前に済
Let's
ま
do
そ
it
う
before the police backup
Ito.
gets here.
そっち側から回ってくれ
Ito, go around from that side.
おお
Okay. He doesn't seem so certain.
僕はこっち側から
I'll take this side. Oh boy. Wait a minute.
ちょっとタクル
Tucker,
こ
stop.
っち見なさい
Look at me. Look at me. I began to look around the building, not waiting for Ito's answer, but Cruz grabbed my arm.
ダ
Grabbed my
メ
arm.
こんなの部活の範疇じゃないでしょ私の言うことが聞けないの
Can't do this. It's way beyond what high school clubs should be involved in. Won't you listen to me? Crap. He was just a millimeter short of making that face again.
しかもここいかがわしいホテルでしょ
This is one of those dirty hotels too, isn't it?
それにもし妙なことに巻き込まれたらどうするの
What if you got caught up in something weird? I knew all that, but I didn't want to give up. This might be my chance to get a real scoop.
定額にでもなったらどうするつもり
What What if you get
姉
expelled?
として
It's your big sister.
弟を危険な目に遭わせるわけにはい
Can't
か
let
な
you
い
put
の。
yourself in danger. Okay, honest. Sister?
弟というか家族でも何でもないじゃんか。
We're not actually family, are we? Ooh, that stings. Are you gonna get shit again? Instantly, Cruz grabbed me by the collar with incredible force and brought her face so close to me our foreheads touched. Now you're hurting your feelings. That's not gonna end well. I could tell her cheeks were flushed. There was a small, wordless growl from deep within her throat, and her arms were shaking a little as she held me. What was she trying to say? No, I knew what she was trying to say. But she didn't say it. He wasn't the sort of person who'd bring up the distant past to try and win an argument. Anyway, this was all over now. It wasn't either of our faults.
Yame!
Stop it! Alright. Suddenly, Sarika ran over and tackled Cruz. The momentum slammed both of them into the ground.
ちょっとセリカ、何して。
Sarika, what was that for?
喧嘩はダメだよ、の
We're
んちゃ
fighting.
ん。タク、
Come on, Taku.
5人でみんな仲良くが新聞部のモットーでしょ。
The motto of the newspaper is all five of us are friends, right? That was never a motto.
しんちゃんも止めなきゃダメじゃん。
You need to stop them too.
いや
Wait,
つうかどこ行ってたんだ。
where were you?
あ
Oh,
あ、そうだ。
that's right.
喧嘩してる場合じゃないんだ
This
よ。
is no time for
タ
fighting.
ク、
Taku. She suddenly hopped up like a cheap toy.
裏のド
The
ア開い
back
てる。
door is open. Oh yeah. She's being useful. Thanks, Sarika. What?
喉乾いて自
I
販
was
機なく
thirsty,
て、
so I couldn't
ホ
find
テ
it.
ルの
But I
中
couldn't
ならあ
find a
るだ
vending
ろうと
machine,
思
so
っ
I
て、
decided to look
裏
inside
の
the
ドアを
hotel.
見つけて開けて、
I went to the back door and opened it.
中入って自販機やって、さすが妖精のダンスじゃん、やるじゃんって思って買って一気飲みしてたら、あれって。
Then I went inside, there was a vending machine, and I said to myself, way to go, fairies dance. And then I bought a drink and gulped it down, and I said, wait a second.
んだよそれ。
What?
お前いつも後先考えずに突き進むよな。
タク、
So,
どうす
Taku,
る
so
の？
Taku, what's the plan? At least we got one person who's all in. Alright, I could tell Cruz was glaring at me. But she didn't say anything, she couldn't say anything.
二人で行こ
Let's go together.
う。カップルの方が
If we
いざ
pretend
と
to be
い
a
う時に
couple,
ご
we
まか
might
し
be
は
able
効
to
く
fool
かも
them
し
if
れ
it
ない
comes to it.
オッケー。
Okay. Did she drink I don't know. Water? As soon as the words were out of my mouth, Sarika beckoned me to follow her. I did. Joke's on you. No, now you're gonna look like a third wheel if you come in after us. Or maybe a jealous ex? A stalker? I didn't say it, but in my heart, I apologized to her as I went. Of course, she couldn't hear me, so she didn't say anything.
階段、向こうなんだけどな。
Stairs are over there, then. We went inside the hotel from the rear entrance and hid behind the corner that led to the lobby. This is my first time inside a love hotel, and it was a lot less gaudy than I'd expected. The name was false advertising. There were no fairies, and no one was dancing. Maybe the quiet atmosphere was a selling point? But...
ですから人を早くよこしてください。いや、それは新庄さんに聞いてください。
Just someone back here. What? No, ask Shinjo. The quiet was ruined by the sound of a police officer screaming into his phone. He was either confused or just excited because he kept saying the same things over and over again. Something had happened after all. And something bad enough he needed backup. This was my chance. If we could get to the scene before the place was overflowing with cops, we might be able to find an unexpected scoop.
はい、それは間違いありません。確認しました。ですがこちらでは判断が。いえ、ですからそういう状態じゃないんです。
No, I checked. I can't decide on my own. No, I told you, that's not what's going on. The cop was in the way. Whether we took the stairs or the elevator, we needed to go through the lobby to get to them.
タク、行くよ。
Let's go. Ooh, she's brave. Alright. He's like, fuck it, let's go. We got our cover story, we're a cute couple.
早く
Hurry. Okay. Wait. Sarika took me by the arm as if we were a couple and entered the lobby without trying to hide at all. Come on. She ignored me and walked straight for the stairs.
Oi!
Hey. The cop must have seen us because he yelled at us from behind. Shit. He probably hadn't seen our faces. Should we run? No, that would make us look suspicious.
部屋から出るなと言っているだろう。はい。いえ、すいません、大丈夫です。それより早く応援を。
I told you not to leave your rooms. No, sorry. It's okay. Forget that. I need that backup. He started mumbling into the phone. So, he thought they just left their rooms to get a drink? We crossed the lobby without looking back. Whew, they made it. That was a good bluff. That was a good bluff. Just walk like you fit in, and he'll just assume you're part of the... You're just, part of the... One of the guests? That's really cool. Alright. Good plan, Sarika. Don't do anything crazy. Yeah, alright.
でもタクの言った通りだったじゃん。
You were right.
ごまかせたごまかせた。
We were able to fool him.
びっくりした。
That scared me. But it worked, right? It worked, right? That was a close call. My heart was pounding so loud the noise was making me sick. Could he not tell we were high school students? No, even if he saw us from behind, he'd be able to tell by our uniforms, right? Why didn't he arrest us? Maybe he was panicking so much that the thought never occurred to him.
てとどうしようか。
What's the next step? Rika let go of my arm and turned towards me. That's right. Now is the time for thinking about other things.
外から見たあの場所が現場かどうかはわからないけど、とりあえず3階から当たろう。そこが外れだったら他の場所を見ていく。警察の応援が来たらそこで切り上げ。
We don't know whether or not that room on the third floor is what we're after, but we should start there. If that doesn't work, we try other places. Once the police backup arrives, we leave.
でも警察の様子から見て、やっぱり何か事件があったんだ。絶対に撮って帰ろう。
From the way that officer was acting, something was definitely up. We need to get the photos before we go.
オッケー。
Okay. 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 It was quiet. The policeman's voice was still drifting up the stairs, but it only made the quiet seem more oppressive. Just like he said, the customers had probably been told not to leave their rooms. But it was too late for it to matter now, but I was starting to feel a little scared. Come to think of it, if something had happened, maybe the killer was still here?
そういえばタク、まだのんちゃんと喧嘩しちゃってるんだね。
Okay, you're fighting with Non again, aren't you? I mean, they did fight, yep. Sharika's voice was relaxed. I was grateful. I'd take any opportunity to relieve this tension.
喧嘩ってわけじゃない
He's
よ。
walking to emergency and he's like terrified because he's sneaking into it. I can understand. It wasn't really a fight. Well, maybe it was.
でもまだクルスって呼んでるんでしょ。気持ちはわかるけど、なんとかならないかな。
You're still calling her Kurusu, right? I know how you feel, but isn't there something you can do? Until half a year ago, I'd called her Nono, her first name. After the incident that caused me to leave the dorm, I'd never called her that again. As long as I kept calling her Kurusu, she'd keep being mad at me. Must have been hurting some important part of her.
タク、
So, he used to live in a dorm near her? Or possibly with her?
Oh.
They're at the third floor. The next thing I knew, we were on the third floor. Sarika had gotten ahead of me at some point and was poking her head around the corner and into the hallway.
誰もいないみたい。
Nobody's here, I think.
よし。
Good. I took out my phone and got ready to record. Is there only one room on the floor? No, there's multiple rooms. As soon as I went to the third floor hallway, I found myself holding my breath. My heart was pounding even louder than when the cop had yelled at us. I tried to control myself and look down the corridor. The rooms must have been very big because the gap between doors was large. The floor was red, sinking into black as the hallway stretched away. I could hear the unpleasant sound of blowing air. That They must have had the air conditioner on. There were no windows and there wasn't a lot of light, so the hallway looked pretty creepy. But there was nothing out of the ordinary about it otherwise. But still, it was strange. The air felt solid. It felt like someone would jump out from the shadows the second you let your guard down, or perhaps there were traps scattered everywhere along the floor. For a second, the floor seemed to be stained with blood, but I shook that image out of my mind. What was this? I feel like it was like the fear you feel in the darkness at night. Was it just because there was so little light? Like maybe if they share, maybe not a room then. Maybe they share a floor. Like they have mixed dorms, so they were like living on the same floor, and something happened that caused him to move out. No, it was worse than that. It felt like someone was watching me and enjoying my unease. It was like they were peering deep into my heart. Okay. We're having like a heart attack, and Sarika's like, dude, grow some balls. I almost jumped off the ground at the start. What's wrong? Don't just talk to me like that. You scared the hell out of me. Dude, she was like right beside me. It's nothing. Isn't this kind of weird? I gestured with my head down the hallway. Sarika looked past me into the darkness.
そりゃ暗いからなんか不気味だけど雰囲気作りとかじゃないの?
Well, it's creepy because it's so dim, but isn't that just to set the mood? Was it? Was that all? Was I being too sensitive? I tried flipping the light switch on the wall next to me, but nothing happened. Maybe the bulbs were burnt out, or maybe it wasn't the switch for this hallway at all. Damn, this wasn't 1407 or something. I turned around. The only person there was Sarika. No one else was looking at me. I took some time to make sure of it before I spoke. Let's go. Yeah. Alright. Sarika nodded cheerfully and stayed behind me as we walked deeper into the hallway. I remember the location of the window I'd seen outside. It was probably deeper in the hall, the furthest one from the back or the one before it. Probably one of those. I walked as silently as I could down the long hallway toward the last rooms on the left side. With every step I took, I could feel the hesitation of the hallway floor through the bottom of my heels. It was like I was being forced to think about nerves I'd never used. My body felt very tense. I didn't see any cops in the hallway. Usually they'd at least leave one person here at the scene. Was this the wrong floor? We reached the second to last door. Room 306. Again, we'll go positive. I listened carefully but didn't hear anything revealing. Just the quiet rumble of the air conditioner. Is there people? Come on. This is a love hotel. Oh, right. Hey, what are you? Knocking. Yeah, it's Chaos Child. Can't. What if someone really answered the door? Wait. There was a loud sound. I quickly glanced around to see if anyone heard what Sarika did. Maybe I should have borrowed the key. Okay, that one's locked. There was no answer from inside. No one was there. Probably. What's wrong? Never mind. Yeah, how would they get into the room if both the doors are closed? Their hotel... They have hotel room doors, right? So they auto-lock when you step out? How would you get in unless it was unlocked? Damn it. It felt kind of ridiculous for me to be so serious. Police aren't here either. If it's not this floor. I flinched back at the sudden noise. What? No, what? Was that the sound of breaking glass? It was from the next room over, right? She was clinging to my back in surprise with her hands on my shoulders. I think so. It came from further down, right? Sarika pointed to the next room. We stood there for a moment. The violent sound must have scared her because Sariko's easygoing mood had totally vanished. But we waited a while and nothing more happened. You're on a clock, man. There were no voices or sounds of struggle. The hallway was the same as ever. But I was imagining it, or was the hall a little darker than before?
戻った方がいいか
Should we go back? Gruesome. Come on. Stop faffing about. You think it's just a body, decide whether you should have decided before you fucking got in the hotel. Oh man. Sarika didn't answer my question. She didn't seem afraid, but she had a serious look on her face as she stared down the hallway. Maybe something had happened and the killer was still there? No, I need to think about this rationally. There was an officer on the first floor who'd called for backup. Usually when a call came in, the police never came there alone. There was always more than one. I'd found out for myself during my reporting, so I was sure of it. There had to be another officer at the scene. The killer couldn't just be hiding there. If there was any chance of that, the cop wouldn't have told us to go back to our rooms. The killer break the glass during the struggle? No, that didn't make sense. If there's any chance of them being able to do that, would the officer have gone downstairs? He'd probably gone down there to tell the front desk not to let anyone else in. I had no proof, but it should be okay. More than anything, I hadn't taken any photos yet. Okay, so if you think it's in this room, start the recording function, open the door, go in. Like, it's got, because, you know, if you're expecting the cop to be in the room guarding the body and you want to get all the evidence you can, assuming he doesn't just confiscate your fucking phone anyway. I hadn't taken any photos yet, right? What? I jumped literally when I heard the sudden sound. It was a very strange sound, one that didn't belong here at all. I looked and saw Sarika had gotten so nervous she'd taken out her Garoro strap and started to play with it. Probably didn't even know she was doing it. I softly poked her with my elbow. I motioned for her to keep quiet and she seemed confused, and then she realized what she was doing and quickly put the strap back in her pocket. As soon as she was done, I looked down the hall once more. Come on, guys. You've already gone this far. Just make up your goddamn mind and go in. All the way to the front of the room. We should head there. I tried to steel myself, then checked over my shoulder once more to make sure no one was there. I started to walk forward very carefully. I was afraid of making even the slightest sound. Sarika followed me wordlessly, with her hand on my shoulder. I grabbed her hand with my free hand, the other holding my smartphone. Okay, like, I swear to God, sometimes it feels like if they waste any more time, the police could literally drive from halfway across Tokyo and pull up, walk the 2 blocks or whatever, go up the 3 flights of stairs and show up behind them before they make it more than like 2 rooms. She squeezed it tight. The feeling of her fingers kept me strong as I walked forward. By the way, this is like the most curious icon. They use like a yellow icon, very retro. Yeah. The next room. Room 305, the room at the far end of the hallway. Just like room 306, it had a plain old door, but it felt like it was extruding an intense pressure. Dude, you said that about the last door. And the last door was locked. It probably didn't have anything in it. This is where it came from, right? He was asking about the sound. I answered despite having no proof at all. We waited but heard nothing. I looked around once more to make sure no one was there and put my ear up against the door. And then I heard a small sound. It was the sound I'd heard outside, the sound from the windows, like a music box playing. It was relaxed and peaceful, even if we weren't, and played the same tune over and over. This is the one with the open windows. Sarika was looking at me. A little. No, that's... I hesitated, but she put her hand on the doorknob. Ooh, it opened. No? No, it didn't? She seemed relieved, but a little upset. I knew exactly how she felt. I felt the same way. I moved away from the door. I would have liked to take some photos before I left, but... Eh? The sound of a lock? Yeah. That was what it sounded like. We were too confused to move. There was no sign of anyone coming out. I slowly touched the doorknob. It turned. The door was unlocked. How? Indeed, how was the door unlocked? The cops inside? As if guided by... Recording, 720 HD, 129 minutes of battery life. Alright. As if guided by all the strange things that were happening, I pushed the record button on my smartphone. I gripped the doorknob tighter. A voice in my mind told me to stop, to go back, but it was wiped out by the sound of the smartphone recording starting and the door slowly opening. I believe in China, you can't turn off the audio function when something starts recording or takes a picture, right? Or, not China, Japan, right? I think might also be true there, but I know less about that. Alright, the more it opened, the less I was able to ignore my curiosity. It felt like something besides Sarika was pushing me forwards as I opened the door. How did the door become unlocked? The song was playing in the dimly lit room. All the lights were off, but the sun outside was streaming through the open window. Its light was very weak. The curtain in front of me, which partitioned off a part of the room, was blocking the light. I gulped and realized my lips were dry. I ran my tongue over them to wet them a little, and realized my heart was pounding. The sound was so loud, I thought my heart might somehow move up into my ears. Okay, so he hasn't smelled anything, or he hasn't stated any smells, so, it may not be that bad. It might be recent or not as gory. It seemed to be beating out some bizarre rhythm and was making me sick. I forced myself to swallow up my saliva and hoped it would keep me from throwing up. I took a slow step forward. I held up my phone to record what I was seeing, and then I realized something. The curtain wasn't partitioning the room. It was a bed. There was a raised spot off the floor with a circular bed surrounded by a curtain. The light was streaming out from behind it. The windows we'd seen were on the other side of it. And the song seemed to be coming from there as well. Crap, it was too dark. I went to flip the nearby light switch, then forced myself to stop. No. I couldn't touch anything in the room. Some kind of crime must have taken place there. I was scared to go any deeper into the darkness. My shoes made my steps loud against the floor. There was no response. Only the relaxed melody. Welcome to the fucking Shining. I know, right? This wallpaper is like super sketch, and it's a curtain. The bed curtain. It's probably like a 4-poster, right? I'm imagining it's like the standard 4-poster, but with like a circular mattress. Anyway, I gave a signal to Sarika, who was still behind me, and went deeper into the room. What? For a moment, I thought I heard the sound of creaking metal. It felt like I was hearing it between the gaps in the music box's melody. But there was no change I could see. No one jumped out. Nothing was moving. Why is he so terrified? He's expecting to see a corpse. And he's like, oh my god. Oh, he's like, oh my god. I'm in a hurry, but I need to like crawl forward at like 1 millimeter per second. I mean, it's to build tension, right? But it feels very silly if you're like, okay, well, we have like 2 minutes before the cops arrive. We should get in, get out. And he's like, I'm gonna sneak. I'm gonna roll my sneak check, and then I'm gonna panic and stop every 2 seconds. And you're like, hurry the fuck up, man. Come on. It's just the sound of the music box. I looked from one part of the room to another to make sure nothing was amiss. And then I slowly moved forward. Someone was lying on the floor. Eh? When my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I saw a police officer and a woman. The officer was lying up against the bathroom with his legs splayed and his head drooping. The girl was lying on the floor face down. They showed no signs of noticing us. Nope, that wasn't right. The glass behind them was shattered into 1,000 pieces. Shit, the cop's dead. Oh, that's where the second guy was. No wonder he was asking for fucking backup. The second I understood what was going on, the hand holding his smartphone started to shake. I could see a little blood dripping off the police officer's head. He was expecting to see a body. You should be braced for this, buddy. I mean, 2 is unusual. I spun around as I heard the sound. The warmth drained from my face in an instant, and my whole body shivered. someone was sitting on the bed. I staggered back and slammed into Sarika. Oh my god, this guy is like the most panicky motherfucker. Holy shit. Let's get out of here. Where's the psychotic author with the axe? Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. So far, we haven't seen anything. And we haven't done any real investigating. Come on, man. You came here to see this. I hate when people are non-committal. This guy's been non-committal like the whole time. I couldn't move. Sarika's gonna take her goddamn phone and do all the shooting for him. Holy shit. My hand was frozen as it pointed the smartphone towards whatever was behind the curtain. And it wasn't doing what I told it. Damn it. I took a step back, tripped, then fell to the floor. Like, seriously? You're like, man, I gotta not leave fingerprints. Because this might have been a crime scene. And then you're like, I'm gonna just sit down. I'm gonna jump down on the floor and spread my fingerprints all over the floor because no one's gonna fucking notice that. I mean, yeah. He didn't want to turn the light switch, but he's okay with sitting down on the floor. Come on, man. My lungs weren't working right. This is like something you weren't expecting and are shocked to see. The silhouette moved a little and I flinched. It didn't move. The bed was rotating. Whoever was behind the curtains showed no sign of noticing us. They didn't budge an inch. Get your stupid evidence and leave. Come on, man. It's like a fucking band-aid. You rip it off and you're like, wow, that was painful, and then you move on. But what is he doing? I don't know. What the hell is going on here? The door won't open. Sarika's voice sounded like it was far away. And this guy, I don't know what the fuck our protagonist is doing now. I ran back to the entrance and slammed myself into the door. It wasn't opening. It wasn't opening. Have they ever considered unlocking it? Or, you know, doing anything other than panicking? They're both being really stupid right now. Considering they went to see a body and they've done nothing but investigate murders, you'd think they'd be like... They've done nothing but investigate murders. You'd think they'd, like, at least be somewhat braced for seeing a body. Like, it's not the scariest thing in the world. Why won't it open? Oh my god, the door won't open. This feels like classic horror. I don't know, it's like when your car, you know, every horror movie has that scene where someone's trying to get into a car and their car doesn't start, and you're just like, in universes with horror movies, it must be awful to own a car because you never know if your car will start when you want to go to work in the morning. It just won't start, and you'll like panic for hours and then be murdered by an axe murderer or something because, you know, every time you try to start your car, someone tries to kill you. Who knows? It just seems very weird. This is like one of those tropey moments, right? The door won't open. Oh no, why won't the random door open? I'm just too incompetent to open this door. Sarika yelled at me. Now she's screaming. Why? Why? Sarika screamed as she slammed against the door. I helped her try to batter it down. They're trying to batter down the door? Why? It didn't work. It was like trying to batter down a wall. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door. I reflexively jumped away without thinking. Oh, it's the knocking. Knock, knock. It was coming from this door. The knocking was rhythmic and constant. What? It was just a knock at the door. My whole body started to shake. I mean, now he deserves to panic. You know what? Okay, now is when you start to panic. And I understand this, because this is the exact same knocking that was in the first scene. So and our protagonist has heard it. So this is where you start to panic, because you're like, okay, if those guys were killed, the killer is on the other side of the door, and we are so fucking dead. Like, now you're like, okay, now we're actually in danger. Previously, wouldn't have given a shit. Like, it's a body, it's really awkward. I've seen plenty of fucking roadkill. Like, I've seen lots of dead animals, dead people, a little bit more unnerving, but I don't think it's that bad. Oh, well. Someone was on the other side of the door. Someone was knocking. It definitely wasn't the police. I felt as if my sanity was boiling away, melting out from the soles of my feet on upward. Yep. So, basically, now our character's in trouble. I believe someone was asking for the psychotic author with an axe from The Shining. Well, we're getting there. No. Don't open that door. Right, at the back. Through the window. I grabbed Sarika's hand and ran to the back of the room. I don't see anything on the bed. And fell silent at what I saw. Huh? What was that? The curtain was open. There was a man there sitting. No, he was moving slowly. The bed was moving in time to the sound of the music box. An eerie sound came from the wire wrapped around his neck. This guy's oh, maybe it's more like that. Okay. The wire was hanging down from the ceiling, choking him. His face was puffed up, a color I'd never seen before. His pants were wet and the stain extended to the bed itself. The smell of piss and shit hung in my nose. How did you not notice the smell until now? I said, wow, it can't be that bad. There's no fucking smell. So, either the body hasn't been there for more than 2 minutes, or the body, or, like, there's nothing too bad, and now here we are. Fucking Christ. He wasn't alive, he was dead. Well, thanks for looking, dumbass. What the hell is this? Why was he dead? Did he suffocate? Why was the curtain open? What the hell was he doing? Why was he dead? My right hand moved without me realizing it. I needed to use the window to escape. But I pointed my phone's camera at the body instead. Okay, I got a real question for you. Who on earth, when they're like, I need to flee right now, their first thought is to pull out their camera and record while standing stock still? Nobody does that, but okay. Taku, we need to get out. This guy, Taku, would be the first person to die in any horror movie. Unfortunately, we've already had 5 people die, so I guess it's only when he gets involved in the movie does he start dying. The body spun slowly. Each time it went around, the wire made an awful sound and dug deeper into his neck. It had dug in so deep by now the man's neck was the size of my wrist. The skin must have been broken because it was bleeding a little. And she's screaming again. Stealth. Although you can panic. I'm gonna accept that. What am I doing? I don't know what you're doing, but you're clearly being a fucking idiot. Sarika was right next to me, but her voice sounded far away, like she was talking through her telephone. I needed to get out of here. I don't understand people like this. I couldn't stop the filming. I know they're like generic, they're like character archetypes, but holy crap, are they sometimes annoying. Why was I doing this? Why was he dead? The wire dug deeper and deeper into his neck without waiting for me to come up with an answer. The body turned away from me. I could see the back of the neck. The flesh around the wire was swollen red and black. I heard a muffle sound like something hard snapping inside of a bag. The head slumped just a little. His neck had just broken. Nice, perfect timing. That must have been the sound of the neck breaking. Let's get out of here. I could hear Sarika's voice. Get out of here? Get out of here. That's right. I need to get out of here. Oh, wow. Great thinking, guy. My body moved as I heard another sound. I spun around. It's a zombie! That'd be hilarious. I think she's just not dead and fainted at the sight of the dead officer or some shit. Or she passed out at the sight of her dead, like, lover or whatever. I don't know. We don't know the story, but she's not dead. And this guy is, holy shit. I want to, like, slap this guy, but he's just being a generic character. That's fine. I screamed. He's got to be the... Is it gonna happen? Are we actually gonna see the head fall off the body? Oh my god. This is so great. Okay, the best thing about this is if our character had like more than 2 brain cells, he would have left or already tried to get out of the room, and he wouldn't see any of this because he'd be like escaping the room because he thinks the murderer's on the other side of the door. Unfortunately, he's too stupid and has been standing still watching things. He's like, you know, I could escape this room, or I could just like stand here, press the record button, film, even though I think any second I could be killed by someone who's trying to possibly break down the door. Anyway, no big deal. Let's just start filming. Oh yeah, let's film. Again, horror movie protagonist. Or not horror movie protagonist, sorry. Protagonist is always a woman. We know that. It's usually a woman. We know that. This is more like the idiot, the resident idiot. There we go. The resident idiot who's all you know the group leader in your favorite horror movie who's always pushing people to do stupid stuff and is the one who's like, let's go to my I just found out I had an uncle, and guess what, guys? He has this cabin 500 miles north in the woods. I've never met him, but he said I could have it for the whole weekend, so want to go camping in a cabin? Awesome, let's go. Oh, looks unsafe? Well, let's go do it. Like, he's that guy, right? Our protagonist is like that guy, and then instead of doing anything useful, he just panics and screams when anything happens. So far, it seems like what he's been like. He thinks he's better than everyone. He's not like the jock. You would expect him to be like the jock type character, but it seems like he's just taking that role as like de facto leader, but doesn't have the physical attributes to back that up. Anyway, he's all right. You heard something from behind you. I don't know what I did, but the next thing I knew. By the way, you're never gonna keep this video on Nico Nico. My whole field of vision had turned red. I felt something like a ball hit me. Before I could understand what it was, everything faded to black. He passed out! Holy shit, what a bitch! I mean, like seriously? Your reaction to being like in a potential life or death situation is to stand there until you pass out without having seen like the person, like you didn't even see the person trying to kill you. They just tried the door and you like panicked and passed out. Man, I'm like super disappointed in this guy. All right, so so in conclusion, unless he teleported out, what probably would have happened is the cop comes in, confiscates his phone, and he never gets any of that footage because he's an idiot and let himself get caught by passing out from I don't know what. Anyway, I'm assuming, I'm just gonna assume this. The head literally went flying. I'm gonna assume that's what happened. Like the head went flying and hit him or something. Because that would at least be funny. That would be like your comedy moment, right? You're like, oh my god, this guy's like been strangled to death and these wires are closing tighter on him. Oh, that's awful. And then like the head cannonballs, hits him in the head. He falls over, hits a wall. It's like the corner of a desk or something, passes out. That'd be kind of funny. Alright. midnight.
新庄さん、所持品と防犯カメラの映像から親族に裏取れました。
We managed to ID the victim from his possessions and the security cameras.
死亡したのは柿田博則、22歳。渋谷在住のフリーターで、更新でマーケティングのアルバイトをしていたようです。
His name is Hironori Kakita, 22 years old, as a Shibuya resident with a part-time marketing job as Koshin. At Koshin.
更新でバイト？恋人は？
Part-time at Koshin? Any lovers? Any lovers?
いません。
None.
同居人もなし。
No
一人
roommates
暮らし
either.
だったようです。
Lived alone, it seems.
くそ。
Shit. Shinjo cursed. If he was single and not in a relationship, it would take time to figure out his private life. And Koshin was one of the companies that had profited the most from the recovery projects in recent years. Part-timer or not, if he worked there, he was probably pretty busy. It was possible his co-workers knew just his name and nothing else about what he was outside work.
新庄さん、マスコミへの対応どうしますか？海洋見テレビやニコニアのネット記者が引き下がらなくて。
Shinjo, what do we tell the media? Kayomi TV and Nikonia's net reporters are refusing to leave.
それから現場にいた例の子
There's
たち
two
です
kids
が、
we found at the scene.
壁表の新聞部と言っていた2人、状態は落ち着いたみたいなんですが、やはりところどころ要領を得ません。
They said they with Kiko newspaper club. They calmed down, but they're not making a lot of sense.
もう一人の女の子も身元を示すものを何も持っていなく、 柿田の交友関係、親戚筋から洗っていますが、まだ当たりません。こっちは完全黙秘です。
The other girl doesn't have anything that would tell us who she is. We're checking if she's a friend or a relative of Kakita's. But no luck yet, she's refusing to say anything. And us, we're like a retard, right?
先ほど検視の方から問い合わせが。
Sorry, that's rude. Our character is not that, and it's insulting to mentally deficient people. Alright. Also, Forensics wanted to know, our character is just a bit of a buffoon. Am I allowed to say buffoon? I don't fucking know. You can't just...
ニコニアニュースの渡部です。すいません。一体何が起こって？
This is Watabe from Nico News. Excuse me, what's going on, sir? Get out, you can't come in here without permission. Is that girl the creepy one from the start with the eyes? Maybe.
一言お願いします。
Just a brief comment. A brief comment is all I need. Shinjo's men physically dragged the reporter out of the room. Nice. At least one reporter is not terrified of bodies. At least we... oh well. He had to stop himself from putting his hands to his head and moaning. He couldn't let his men see him acting weak. Shinjo had been with the police HQ section for less than 7 years. He didn't get along with his superiors, but he managed to beg his way into being in charge of this case. Maybe this is his way of avenging the death of an older detective who he admired.
窓枠の鑑識が終わったらすぐに外から見えないようにしといてくれ。あのネット記者は最近何するかわからん。
Once you're done looking at the window frame, make sure it can't be seen from the outside. There's no telling what those net reporters will do.
はい。
Yes, sir.
検視は俺が直接対応する。それから会社の仕事周りへの人数を増やしてくれ。上には後で俺から言っておく。
I'll talk to forensic myself though, and put some manpower into checking his connections at work. I'll tell the bosses.
はい。それで例の子たちは。
What about the kids?
それも俺が持つ。じゃ、よろしく頼む。
I'll handle them. Get to it. So like, obviously their phones get compensated, right? As they're breaking into a crime scene, might have tampered with evidence, and they need to verify that, and then they just delete all your data. I believe that's pretty sure it would happen if you did that. If nothing else, you're in Tokyo, so you're within 100 miles of an air. Or actually, no, that's the States. Never mind. I was gonna say in the States, if you're within 100 miles of an airport, they can actually do that. They can actually seize your phones without a warrant, or without you doing anything. This man raced out of the room, because I believe it's within 100 miles of a border, within 100 or 200 miles of the border, and borders also count as airports. They'd never had a case like this before, and they were probably pretty excited. So was Shinjo, to be honest. The whole thing was such a mess he didn't even know where to begin, but his detective's instincts were screaming at him to start doing the work needed to find the killer. Okay.
Yes.
So, talk to me. This is Trustworthiness Investigation Company Frisia. Holy shit, if I called my company Trustworthiness Investigation Company, that would be so fucking sketchy. His call was answered on the first ring, like always. It's me. Oh, Shinjo, you're late. I thought you'd be contacting me earlier. Sorry. Shinjo apologized without thinking and for no clear reason. He always felt like a naughty child when he spoke to this CEO, who happened to be a woman. You know why you're so exhausted? It's because you're taking this so seriously. You should relax a bit, like they did. I've got no intention of copying their habits. You're so serious, aren't you? Keep thinking like that, that's a virtue. Keep thinking that's a virtue, you're gonna have a bad time. Something I want to talk to you about. Shinjo cut her off before she could continue her lecture and gave her a brief description of the scene. This was a violation of the rules, but the only way to solve a crazy case was to be a little crazy yourself. That was the first thing he'd learned from that older detective.
それって殺人なの？自殺なの？
Oh, murder or suicide? Melissa asked her question after he'd described the situation. She'd cut to the heart of the problem.
現状ではそれがわからないんです。
We're not sure right now. The hotel had gotten suspicious when Kikita hadn't come down after the checkout time, and when more than 10 calls to the room went unanswered, they'd contacted the police. 2 officers, as well as someone from the hotel, had gone to the room and found the body and an unconscious girl. 1 officer stayed at the scene to keep it secure, and the other searched the hotel to make sure it was safe. During the search, she forgot to lock the employee entrance in the back near the stairs. That was how the 2 students from Heikiho had gotten in. Shortly after he'd left the room, the girl woke up and started strangling the officer who'd stayed. He'd hit his head on the edge of the glass window and knocked himself out. Not dead. Of course, they're too stupid to check that, but you know, they're too uninformed. Notice that. It's still going. Of course it's still going. This is pretty good. It was going to be fine. He'd been out cold until backup arrived. When the backup got there, they found the girl unconscious along the floor. A boy from Heikiho was passed out on the floor, too. Yeah. The other girl from Heikiho was throwing up, also on the floor. Again, about that, not making... Kikita's cause of death was asphyxia via strangulation. The wire around his neck was a kind used at construction sites. It had been hung in an X pattern from the lights on the ceiling, and he'd been sitting on the bed as it rotated. That's why there was so much pressure on his neck that finally his head had been severed. Ah, yeah, I called it! In the estimated time of death, Kikita had passed away before the police had ever been contacted. The body on the bed kept spinning in time to the music. 1 rotation every 2 minutes. In the end, the man's head had been cut off completely. Problem was the girl in the room. There was no indication she'd ever touched Kikita. There were no fingerprints nor any other signs she'd touched Kikita's body, the bed, or the wire. The only things they'd found under her fingernails were skin and blood from the officer she'd strangled. In fact, there was no indication she'd touched much of anything in the room. Everything they'd found belonged to Kikita. And according to the officer she'd strangled when she'd attacked him, she'd clearly been in an unstable psychological state. Her eyes were bloodshot and out of focus. Drugs?
つまり何？その女の子は柿田って男が死ぬのを黙って見ていて、部屋の中のものにほとんど触れず、混濁した意識のまま警官に襲いかかって首を絞めたと。
So what are you trying to say? Here, this girl just watched Kikita die without saying anything in the room and then started strangling a police officer while temporarily insane? Shinjo scratched his head as he heard her sum up the situation. Yeah, that seems a little bit weird. That was what it looked like, at least from what they knew right now. And going by that, it looked like a suicide. But it was all far too strange.
なるほど。厄介だわね。現場に入り込んだっていう壁砲の子たちは？
See, this is a bit of a problem. What about those kids from Heikiho who got inside the room?
ショックが大きかったようで、最初は何も喋らなかったんですが、今は少しずつ話し始めています。
It seems like it was pretty traumatic for them, so at first they wouldn't say anything. Man, they were traumatized before they even saw it. They were like here in this hallway, and they were like, oh my god, oh my god, I can't do it. If you're gonna like give yourself that much trauma from being in a hallway where there may or may not be a body, like holy shit, no wonder you passed out. Gods.
ですが、いろいろと問題のある
They're from
壁
Heikiho.
砲の子ですから。
The place has some issues. So they're starting to open up. He checked with the school and verified they were part of the school's newspaper club. The security camera at the rear entrance had seen them coming in, which matched with their testimony. He didn't know what to make of their testimony, that the door had opened on its own, or that someone else had tried to come into the room. The door was equipped with an automatic lock, and the only person inside the room who could have opened it was the girl. There was no sign of her... See, I told you it was an automatic lock. It's a hotel door. They don't just open by themselves. They're always automatically closed. There was no sign of her fingerprints on the door. And the security camera in the hallway showed no signs of anyone trying to go in. In any event, it was extremely rare for a civilian to see a dead body outside of a funeral. And in an unstable mental state, it was extremely easy to imagine things or just outright be mistaken about what was going on. They turned out not to have any relationship to Kikita or the girl. He planned on letting them off with a stern warning.
結局のところ、一番大きな手がかりは部屋に潜んでいたその子なんですが、
girl who was in the room, but she's
何も喋りません。
not talking.
そのままだと非感知よね。
She's probably going to be put under psychiatric hold at this rate, right?
はい。
Yes.
そうなると大幅に捜査が遅れることになるので、そうしたくないんです。
That would slow down the investigation a lot. I'd rather not go that route.
わかったわ。ちょっと情報を回させてちょうだい。多分新庄ちゃんの立場的に無理してもらうことになるから覚悟はしといてね。3分後にこっちからかけ直すから。
Got it. Let me get some information spread around. Given your position, it's probably going to be pretty rough for you. Be ready, okay? Call back in 3 minutes. That's very
助かりま
precise.
す。よろしくお願いします。
Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. Shinjo went to hang up the phone.
ああ、ちょっと。
Oh, wait.
はい。
Yes?
そういえばお願いがあるのよ。
Actually, I want you to do
絶
something
対
for
に
me.
新庄ちゃんのためにもなることなんだけど。
I'm sure it'll be a big help for
聞いて
you,
くれない
too.
かしら。
Can you do it? It was basically an order then, Shinjo thought to himself. Okay, what's
何
it?
ですか？
What is it?
この件に関して私より詳しいうちの子が一人いるのよ。それで今回の現場を直接見たいって言ってるんだけど、お願いできない？
One of my kids knows more about this than I do, and they say they want to see the crime scene personally. Can you help them out?
部外者を現場に？
You want me to let an outsider into a crime scene?
いつだって物事を解決するヒントを与えるのは部外者よ。
It's always outsiders who give you the hints you need to solve the case. After all, I'm an outsider too, she continued. So, what's the name of our friend? It's Ito, right? Okay, never mind. Our friend's Ito. Who the fuck is this then? In his head, Shinjo went over the steps he'd have to take and the time required to take them.
明日、いや、明後日で構いませんか？
Can it be tomorrow or no? The day after?
さすが新庄ちゃ
That's
ん。
my Shinjo.
話せるじゃない？
Glad we could
よ
work
く
this
それ
out.
で。
I don't know how you
の
managed
捜査
around
一
the
課に
rest of
残れ
those
てるわ
hardheads
ね。
in Section 1.
では、よろしくお願いします。
Alright. Talk to you later.
あ、ちょっと新庄ちゃん。
Hold on a sec, Shinjo, would you? He barely stopped himself from ending the call.
まだ何か？
Is there something else?
念のためアドバイスをしとこうと思って。2つね。
I want to give you some advice, just in case. 2 things.
言っておくけど、さっきのは冗談じゃないのよ。
First, what I said before wasn't a joke, okay?
は？
チャランポランで行きなさいっていうやつよ。
You need to relax a little. Don't take everything so seriously.
これから間違いなく新庄ちゃんの理解の外にある事件は続くわよ。その時一番邪魔になるのは常識だから気をつけなさいな。
I'm sure lots of things are about to happen that will be beyond your understanding. When that happens, your worst enemy is what you think you know.
肝に銘じます。
I'll make sure to remember that.
そこで真面目に返事しているようではまだまだね。
Oh, if that was a serious answer, you've got a long way to go.
もう一つはね。
The other thing is, Mosa paused for a moment and chuckled.
うちの子に取って食われないようにね。油断してると新庄ちゃんが部外者になりかねないわよ。
Don't let my kid get the better of you too often. If you let your guard down, you'll end up an outsider yourself. All right. September 30th, 2015, Wednesday. Okay.
なあ、ツイポ見た？
All right. We have ourselves a confirmed murder. Whew. Things are getting spicy. And we're not quite at our protagonist viewpoint, although we might be swapping to it now. Or our previous character's viewpoint, we might be swapping to it now. Looks like we're in the school cafeteria, but I'd like to find out more, but unfortunately, I think it's time for me to be ending things up here. It's getting quite late. Alright. Those of you watching the VOD, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys next time.